Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Strips it cleanly, but taken away by Markowski. 3-ball Nisley, deep right side, you betcha. Off the assist from Markowski. 62-46 Hawks. 9:10 to go. Nisley for 3 on the deep right side, you betcha. Huskers trail up by 14. Rimdahl drives around O'Grady. Driving layup is good. Bertie Rimdahl has a season-high 18. And Hargrove back to the basket, right elbow. Deep left side, Markowski's not guarded. Shoots a 3. You betcha. Markowski has 15 on the Central Valley A3. They opened the door in here?
I believe so.
The air temperature in here dropped about
Well, there was one big gust.
7 degrees.
One of the garage doors opened and back.
81-66, I think, is going to be our final score unless Lucy Olson wants to do something else. She won't, and that'll do it.
Good morning. Welcome in to Hurrdat Sports Radio. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla here, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. DB,
what's up?
I think you're not having a good night when you're wondering if a door was opened in your gymnasium.
So I was stuck between a rock and a hard spot with the split screen.
Yeah.
Because neither game was going the way that I wanted it to.
True.
So
speaking of which, I think we need to have an intervention.
Why? They opened the door in here?
You want me to you want him fired tomorrow?
No. I think we need to have an intervention with you.
Oh, okay. Talk to me.
So I think you've got a blind spot on North Carolina.
Really?
We just need to talk you. We need to talk you off this ledge here.
Yeah.
You know,
you could tell I'm up in arms, huh?
I like you seem stressed out. I'm worried about you.
Yeah.
This is where I landed with Creighton, right? I decided a long time ago I can't make picks on Creighton games anymore.
So here's the deal.
I'm too emotionally invested. I don't have a good feel.
Am I surprised they got blown out? No. Am I mad because I thought I had them pegged? Yes.
That's what I mean.
Yep.
I think
normally, and I
think
mean,
we got maybe
I
a little.
I feel pretty good with them. I didn't know Clemson was going to get by with all the help from their friends. You can shut their thoroughbreds down, but then you let the cast of characters, get you. But as you could tell via my text, I'm not too bent out of shape.
No, I
was just hoping they would cut it to 15. They just. When they're bad, they're horrible. And then they just proceed to get blown out.
It's a bad basketball team.
Whatever.
I'm not trying to rub it in or anything.
I low key maybe.
No, I like North Carolina. I'd like them to be better.
Is that right?
I need them to hire somebody better than Hubie Davis. Although I might be at the point where I'm rooting a little bit they don't do as well, so it's easier to fire him.
Well, I think it's pretty easy. You just have to want to.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. If you lose a little bit more.
You want them to miss the dance?
Yeah. If you lose a little bit more, it becomes easier to just kind of push that button.
Yeah. It's a deal now where I'm like, guys, hello. What are we doing?
What's
going on?
This isn't like the North Carolina hour or anything, but you guys I don't mean like you guys, but North Carolina, your friends down there in North Carolina, pretty constantly have a guard that I just hate.
Ooh, okay.
And I bet you can tell me why. I bet you can.
I know who it is.
Who?
It's. I'm gonna go with. I know it's one of the two. Neither one's a great shooter, so I know that drives you up the wall.
Mm-hmm.
But one's, they're both probably 28% guys, 27. I'm going to go with Cadeau.
So I don't love Cadeau.
It's Trimble.
There's actually 3. I really don't like R.J. Davis.
R.J. Davis can shoot. He just shoots dumb shots.
So that's my problem.
Okay.
Is low percentage volume shooters.
The dribble, the step back hezzy.
Because
that's his game.
You know what actually makes me more mad than a guy that can't shoot? A guy that's inefficient because he takes bad shots.
Yeah, because he's actually a good shooter.
That's what I mean.
I agree with you.
That makes me more mad. If a guy
I'm surprised it's him you don't like.
He's the one that bothers me the most.
But he has the most cred. He's hit big shots. He's been good in big games.
I understand that. You know what his career career field goal percentages?
Field goal?
Yeah.
Oh, he's probably 41%, 42%.
41.7.
Yeah.
Right? That drives me crazy.
Yeah, shout out your boy.
That's a good guess.
Thank
That's
you.
a good educated guess.
Thank you.
He's 32% from 3 this year, which is a career low, but he's still taking almost 7 a game.
I know. Well, he's going to shoot threes.
I understand that, but I need you to not take stupid shots.
Okay. Well,
inefficient volume shooters are my pet peeve. And
is it any worse than going like 6 or 7 minutes where you just give the ball to the other team? Or
no, that's also very bad.
I think they only finished for a team that gave up 85 last night. I think they only finished with 13 turnovers, which was surprisingly low.
That is hard to do.
Hey, but I have another question.
Go ahead.
Which, by the way, this burn. You should have seen your boy yesterday. I hit the.
Were you cooking or something?
Yeah, I hit I double dipped in the kitchen. I was browning. I was doing some thighs and some other stuff, and I put the skillet on, and I put the thing in the oven because I wanted to melt the cheese. So then I wanted to turn a broiler on, so I wanted to take the lid off. So you only have so much margin for air in the ceiling. So I touched the knuckle, burnt that deal.
Not ideal.
No, and I was transporting the chicken to the plate, and the Asiago was about to fall off, and I wanted to save it. And so I tried to move it so it covered the skin, and I pulled it off. And I went to bite it, and I torched my lip. So I'm like, if you could have just seen the comedy of errors, I was like, ooh, ow, my hand, ow, oh. But my hand is kind of full, so I can't drop anything.
Yeah.
It is embarrassing. But it was to my, like.
Isn't that the worst, though?
Oh, man.
When
if it was candid camera, people would have thought like there was a ghost pushing me.
Yeah, like when you're by yourself and you're doing stupid things and you can't even look around and be like, did anybody see that? What just happened?
That Joker's toe. Lips a little tender. We're going to be all right. It's going to be all right.
I was going to say.
It's going to be all right.
Big Kendrick guy?
Yeah.
You seem very hurt right now.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay. I have one question for you. Because there's a lot that we didn't get to yesterday. That the whole Patrick thing is still bugging me.
With Brady?
Patrick.
Hey, Patrick.
How many times did I text that to you?
Like a bunch.
Why did he keep saying
You were counting 2 things. The number of times he said Patrick and the number of stories he was telling about himself.
What did I get up to?
8.
Yeah.
I believe it was 8. And I think you missed a couple because you didn't start early. You started like in mid-second quarter. And there had been like 3 by that point. He was definitely in the double digits.
And he was reaching, too, for some of them. But
yeah, like I don't have a problem if there's a direct correlation.
Do we know why? What's the Patrick story?
I think he thinks they're peers. I don't know.
You don't. Yeah. Okay.
I don't have a good answer for you except for he's bad at his job.
So, not to go all Brady, but I struggle to say Buddha. And I know that's his nickname. I typically say Javen.
Yeah. Because that's how you broadcast, right?
No, but some guys like Buddha Baker or some guys can use their nickname, like Booger McFarland.
So I think it's if they like Buddha Wright isn't.
Should I call is Buddha okay? I think it is, but my point is it's not.
So he doesn't.
It just doesn't roll off the old tongue.
To my knowledge, he doesn't go by that super publicly. So I think that's the difference, right? Like Coco Crisp only went by Coco. Nobody called him Covelli, right?
Why would you go with Coco? That's a good pull.
Just because Covelli cracks me up.
Maca Covelli.
Covelli Crisp. Coco.
Is that funny, Shane? Shane laughs at some weird
or like
things. That's not even some of my good stuff.
Like Isaiah Williams went by Juice.
Yeah.
Not the second Isaiah Williams, unrelated. But 07 quarterback for Illinois went by Juice publicly.
You love that team.
I do.
That's their second obscure reference in Friday to today.
I talked to Evan too much.
Yeah, he's actually. I do. You're right. You're like, you don't like that dude. I'm like, yeah, I do.
He's a good dude. But
does he know you called him Black Evan?
No, I called him wannabe Black Evan.
Oh, that's even worse.
Well, it's also true. He wore a do-rag to school. He did. He's a white dude. Wore cornrows and a do-rag to school.
Guys, I mean, there's some parts of our culture you want.
He was trying to be part of the culture, and I appreciate that.
Isn't that why people lay out?
I don't think it was. Sorry.
It's flickering.
So I told him
Mules and jewels, baby.
I did a stand-up in high school for the whole school.
No, you did.
I did. And
how'd you do it without cussing?
Oh, I didn't, it was pretty easy.
Really?
Yeah. So my favorite joke though. So that was like 2005. So this is like peak high school girl tanning era, right? 05, right?
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've seen some orange folks at girls' basketball games. I'm like, I know it's November, December, January. You guys ain't been out in the sun.
Well, that's because the president's bringing it back. But so I told this joke, and I go, this was 2005, right? So, obviously terrorist jokes were super funny at the time.
Oh, no.
And I had a beard like this. I'm 17 years old and I had a beard like this. And, I go, I have a hard time going through airports, right? And not just because I look like this, because I also carry my diabetic supplies. Yes. So I've got like needles and vials with me, and I look like this, okay? It's not a great combination. It's a wonder why I don't enjoy flying. And so I was like, but I don't really understand it, right? Because, I look at the dance team and the cheerleaders. A lot of those girls are darker than I am. Yeah. And nobody gives them any trouble.
And you have a fantastic reputation for with your dance team too.
Yeah. And so
aren't they like the best in the state still?
They do. Yeah, they are. They're terrific. And I had friends on that dance team. And so that didn't go over super well. But my point is there is some overlap there with people trying to look like maybe they belong somewhere else.
Hey, speaking of belonging and not belonging, can I ask one more random before we actually get to the show?
Oh, I thought this was the show. Yeah, go ahead.
If you're Dalton Connect, are you cool?
Probably not. I mean, so it depends on how self-aware you are.
It is a business.
And it depends on how self-aware you are, because it's not like they traded him for another person at his position. Right? Like, I think that matters.
True.
I think it matters that they're like, hey, we need a big.
Yeah.
You're a valuable enough asset that we could get this good big for you. So but I don't know if at 28 years old or whatever Connect is as a rookie, 24, I think.
Wow.
Sorry. That was a stray. That was my bad. That's my bad. That was unnecessary.
Just catching strays.
That's my bad.
What do you have against Connect?
No, I actually like Connect.
He's a bucket.
I wanted Connect to win Player of the Year last year. Remember, I wanted him to win over Edey.
Yeah.
So I'm a Connect fan. So it depends on how self-aware you are at that age to be like, hey, I understand if you've got 2'6'8", ball handling, bucket getting, plus Austin Reeves.
He won't be 24 until April, by the way.
Oh my, see, he's very young, very very young, like our guy Baylor Shireman, who I love. We're big fans, but.
They see me rolling.
I think if you've got.
I wasn't even in a good mood. I feel better now.
I do what I can for you. I think there might be some level of self-awareness that's like, hey, this is not a me thing. This is a positional thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's
he's back on the bench and he's like not even dressed.
Yeah, I don't know if he's that mature. Well, I think there's still some limbo here because the Hornets are actually disputing.
I know they're going to dispute the physical.
Yeah, which I don't know how that works.
Well, it's the team that's getting them.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know if they're trying to say that they're dealing in bad faith or what, but I didn't know there was anything from Mark Williams that would be an issue. Usually when there's
he missed like 60% of the games the last 3 years.
No, I get that, but I don't know.
It's a back. It's a foot. I mean, dude, I told you when you were all.
I thought that was a good trade.
I'm like, yeah, when he plays.
Well, when he plays, he's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
But
Mike is like at the dinner table. He's like, how do you fail a physical as a professional athlete? I'm like, oh, it happens all the time.
Oh, it happens a lot.
People
right?
try to get over.
Because it's not
let me slide you this broken down horse.
It's not your, before you go work at Mutual of Omaha physical. Like it's a little bit more physically involved than that.
Yeah.
Like they're poking and prodding and testing.
I was going to say tug and plug, but poking and prodding is much better.
We're going to try and avoid tugging and plugging.
Well, they do, man. Like that was the hard part.
No, they're like pulling on your joints and stuff.
That was the hard part about going back to test after your physicals to get drafted. It's like, you guys have yanked on everything.
You don't feel good.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah,
it's awful.
They're pretty aggressive on your joints and stuff like that. So I get that for sure. That it's not your run-of-the-mill physical, which I think is what people think.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're thinking their high school physical and that's not it. Like, it's pretty physically grueling process.
It makes the whole just cough thing seem pretty minor, which was traumatizing.
Turn your head.
No, I need you to cough. Stop doing that. Okay, be a lot easier to cough, all right? Chill. You ever tried to cough?
Why are your hands so cold?
Knock it off.
It's better than
that was the worst.
It's better than physicals as you get older, man. You think they poke and prod now.
I mean, how demoralizing was it when you'd go there and they'd say, put on the gown, leave the back open. Like, damn it. Thought I was 6th grade, man. I should be past this.
Be like, leave the back open. You're not going to buy me dinner or anything? I can use a glass of wine or something. Leave the back open. Wow. What are we doing here?
A lot of guys in jail for that, Ravi. It's not funny. Wow.
I wasn't making jokes. I was, I just don't know what they're doing back there,
Man. Tough.
But yes, I am interested to see what Mark Williams does when he if they're.
How can they dispute the physical though?
I don't know if they've got. I'm sure they have some report telling him that they're telling them that he's healthy. But if your doctor fails the physical, I don't know what there is to do there. But how'd you feel watching Lulla on your Lakers last night?
It's fine. I was in a bad mood.
You're such a hater.
Well, it's TK's fault.
What'd TK do?
So he sent me a text early in the day, and I forgot to get back to it because Lord knows you were yapping. And it was kind of innocuous at the time.
Okay.
But I think he was a little taken aback. I have to go back and find it because it was pretty simple. He's like, FanDuel has Nebraska women's as a 2.5 dog today.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and I remember when he sent it, I was like, that's got to be a misprint.
For the Iowa game last night?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Not a misprint?
Well, it was just weird because Nebraska won at Iowa, which they never do.
Yeah. So you would think.
And Nebraska's playing
pretty well.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, was that fixed? But then my man KP, I hope he's not serious.
That should have been one of your Vegas nose lines, though.
Because full disclosure, and we're going to talk to a couple of friends. We talked to Coach Williams 2 weeks ago. We get Will Bolt this morning, which would be fantastic at 9. We get him for the big segment. Got a lot of questions for Will. He said, well, what time today does Dannon fire Amy Williams?
What?
And the women's hoops strength and conditioning coach. This team is the most sloppy and out of shape team. No, he's serious. Okay, I know how he talks. He's serious. First of all, I do get the rash of injuries.
Mm-hmm.
They've had some tough injuries in consecutive years.
Yep.
So, much like Creighton about 5 years ago, that was a thing, right? Guys getting hurt, the soft tissue stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you need to take a look at the strength and conditioning program.
And they did.
They did.
And it's been
so I
much better.
get where fans, and it's happened in football too. Oh, we have so many groin injuries and soft tissue injuries, but Coach Williams is pretty fantastic.
Yeah,
all bias aside.
I agree.
Like, she is a great coach.
I don't like that's out of pocket. It is like that's out of pocket. You want to talk about strength and conditioning staff? Sure. Like, let's talk about strength and conditioning staff. Let's talk about injury prevention. Let's talk about how they go about that. I'm all for that. I used to rail on that with Nebraska football teams. I thought that, especially under 3 of the previous regime, at least 2. I know I had real big issues with Riley and Pelini. I didn't think it was as bad with Frost, but I might be misremembering.
Who did Bo have? Kennedy? That was Kennedy, right?
Yeah.
All this stuff kind of blurs because we were mad about everything.
Yeah, we were. Who was Riley's? Was it Big Simone guy?
Yeah, he ended up going back to USC.
I can't remember his name. Because Duval was Frost.
No, you don't. Come on, Cohen. It's just Duval.
It's Duval.
Come on, Ravi Cohen.
Or is it Duval?
This dude practiced for 3 days, and each one it was more cringe. I was like, how's this dude on my timeline?
Just Duval? Is that better? Did I get it?
Yes, thank you.
Duval. But yeah, it was the Big Samoan dude for Riley and then I can't remember who Pelini had, but like there were some legitimate concerns over the course of those guys.
Yep. Yep. He's serious.
And I think you have to address that, just like Creighton did with their basketball. I mean, you had the run of like Mo Watson, Martine Krompel,
You heard Foster.
What's that?
Foster got hurt.
Yeah, Foster got hurt. You had Isaiah Zierden was banged up a bunch. Zach Hansen had a hard time staying healthy.
Zierden had a couple knees, right?
Yep. Jacob Epperson had a hard time staying healthy. Like there was a bunch, and they addressed.
That's right. I forget. Like Ep never really came back.
No, he didn't. And some people thought they rushed him and whatever because they needed him because Krompel went down. But it was like there was a bunch. There was a bunch of them, right? It got addressed. Knock on wood. Not something you hear about a lot. Pop Isaac's thing was an incoming issue that just never really got right.
See, Shane, if they would have had a physical.
Although, okay, so
they did know it was bad.
Your guy TG,
my guy,
no big deal.
Goes.
Wait, he's usually Team Ravi. Now you're giving him back to me.
He goes, he is Team me. That's why I was. If the Lakers were able to dump AD's broken down body on Dallas, they should have to take anyone another team tries to dump on them. Fair point. I mean, fair point.
And why I don't. So what I don't understand about why he low key rides with you is it was my guy way before you. I mean, we're talking like Class B football.
Yeah, back in the day?
Yes.
Back in the day?
Yes. I don't know what it is. It's like, are you this dude's alter ego? Is he really not a nice person, so he rides with you?
That's true.
It's 100%.
The mean-spirited folk tend to
But I was shocked. So that game put me in a bad mood.
Which one? The Lakers game?
No.
The Nebraska-Iowa game.
Because I had already checked out of UNC.
Because TK put some nonsense in your head?
And I was like, why? And so I went back to that text, and I was like, you know what? They were onto something. Why were they favored?
Yeah. That's odd.
It was at home. And not that why he knew that line was a whole nother question. Like so I got two guys that are like that.
We've got some degenerates in our.
See, that's how Aaron is.
Yeah,
that's how Aaron is. Like
he's the one that was giving you the wrestling lines, wasn't he?
So I do like his wrestling breakdowns. So I'll ride with that.
I understand that. It's still some degenerate behavior.
But my man will watch that thing go from, hey, they're 5.5 now. Hey, it's up to 8. Hey, it's 9.5. I got to pull it. I'm like, is there enough action? Is there enough action?
Are you doing anything else with your day? That's what I want to know. Like. Or maybe he gets alerts every time there's a line change. I'm sure there's an app for that.
No, my man's a brand new daddy, so he's
just up in the middle of the night, just scrolling while he's trying to keep that kid asleep. I don't know.
He hit me the other day because they've got a little girl too, and he's got older twins, and he goes, "Oh, this is the text. Didn't expect to be having my son today, but here goes nothing." I was like, "Wait, what?" He goes, "Yeah, they're inducing tonight." And I go. Well, they usually give you some kind of warning for that. Like it can't be. It's just his delivery. He's a man of few words. It's just wild out here. So by the time I got around to watching the Fakers, I was like, I wonder if Connect's happy because I really like Dalton.
Yeah, I thought it was a great pick for them.
Yeah,
I really did.
I was super happy.
Yeah,
I guess if it's a business, it's a business.
Yeah, we'll see. I can't believe the first segment's over already. We'll be back.
You got a big one with your guy coming into town tonight. I can't wait.
We got Schaefer coming up at 9. We've got Will Bolt coming up in the 9 o'clock hour as well. Until then, it's a lot of me and DB nonsense. Stay tuned. More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Dude, you see all those breakdowns, though?
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Radio. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar exterior stage. Didn't get too much snow overnight, so your commute
It's a coming.
Your commute should be okay, but make sure you got that seatbelt fastened anyway. It can happen at any time, regardless of weather or road conditions. Just make that thing click. It prevents injuries and saves lives. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office, which apparently lately has also turned into a brief weather report for your commute. But
like McDuffie on A.J. Brown seatbelt.
Yeah,
nah, AJ did get a couple.
AJ got a couple. You know, he had a nice little game.
Patrick.
Hey,
Patrick.
And you know, Patrick, you got to play better.
Oh, Patrick. Oh, Patrick.
Was he trying to like little brother him?
I don't know, man.
It felt like he was maybe trying to little brother him a little bit.
Oh, Patrick.
It's like, hey, your 3 Super Bowls are cute. I've got 7.
Patrick. I'm like, stop it. Knock it off, all right?
You know, there was a time that Tom Brady was also 3-2 in Super Bowls. Yeah. People forget.
My man conflicted going back to connect. He said he looked miserable last night. We can't have my man Dalton miserable.
So TK said the Hornets doctor passed him. Lakers doctor failed him.
Yeah.
Hornets are disputing it.
Does TK not know that that's my team? Or is he explaining it to you?
He's explaining the process. Oh. The process of the dispute.
Okay.
They're disputing it because apparently the physicals were very close together. So to get 2 different results was, although there is a vested interest for one team.
Right.
You know,
that's why I said it's on the Lakers' end. They're going to scrutinize that deal. They clearly want him.
Yes. Otherwise, you don't make the deal.
Otherwise,
in the first place, right?
So it's like.
But you want to make sure he's healthy.
But apparently,
because you're not giving up
the multiple issues.
Yeah, because you're not giving up connect in the first place.
You know,
if you don't want a guy.
You know who's probably the saltiest, but he's used to being like the traveling man.
Who?
It's Cam Reddish.
Dude. You know what's wild about Cam Reddish?
Is that he's a Blue Devil?
Is that
that's not it?
Out of that group, I believe he was the highest rated coming out of high school.
Yeah.
Out of Zion, RJ, and Cam Reddish. Yeah. I believe Cam Reddish was the highest rated.
Reddish was the dude.
And he has never figured it out, even a little bit. Or even with Duke, really. He wasn't even that good that year with Duke. He was kind of the forgotten man.
But they're like, oh, man, when he gets in a rhythm, when he gets in the flow, like he's the best shooter of the bunch. How about RJ Barrett lost up there in Toronto?
Yeah, he's playing okay, though.
Yeah, considering this is your all-NBA 5-minute spiel.
Well, listen, people are going to have to get used to some certain things because I don't know if you know this, but there's no football on right now. There's 0 football on right now.
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't even have the UFL.
We tried to get into some football yesterday with Shane, and he's not having none of it.
Well, that's because he's mad about the Raiders.
And they've upgraded in the offseason.
I still think that they probably need to find a quarterback. I don't know that Aiden O'Connell is going to do it.
They do. They do.
But I agree.
Plenty of time. Going to be a busy offseason.
Everywhere else, they've done really well. They've done really well for. It's a good roster, and I like Pete Carroll.
Me too.
That's a good hire.
I'm not even sure we need a coach.
Yes, you do. That's why you're hiring. Get this. Do you see who they're targeting for their OC?
Who?
Dallas.
No, yeah, who?
Oh, Ken Dorsey.
Oh, I did see that.
Come on down.
I saw they were targeting him. They want him for the OC job?
Yeah.
Oh, God. He's gotten fired from a couple of those now, right?
And Dorsey we trust.
Isn't Schottenheimer calling the plays, though? Wasn't that part of the deal?
That I don't know.
I thought Jerry Jones came out and said.
So Steve's not going to call?
He wants Schottenheimer.
What?
He wants Schottenheimer to call the plays.
Do things my way.
I know, Jera.
He's going to do things his way.
No question, Jera.
Cam Reddish averaging 3 points a game this year.
We all know it's a Perkins menu.
Perkins is low-key fire.
Best shooter of the bunch is a 32% career three-point shooter.
Can I just echo those? Can I get you to echo those sentiments?
What?
Perkins is pretty good.
I'll be honest. I haven't been to Perkins in a very long time, so I can't speak educated.
Appreciate
that. Half drunk on Johnny Walker Blue with only an egg McMuffin.
I don't drink Johnny Walker Blue. I would like a nice egg McMuffin.
You do love an egg McMuffin.
I do. I love breakfast sandwiches. I'm gonna eat about 7 of those when I get back to eating the way I want to.
When is that? When's that ever gonna happen? You've been doing this for a while.
Maybe after my mom's birthday.
Okay.
I have a target weight, and then we'll see. I'll ruin it in about 4 days.
How old do you think?
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm dead serious.
How old do you think R.J. Barrett is?
R.J. Barrett is only 25 years old.
24.
Yeah.
He's been playing forever.
Yeah. He has old man game, too.
He does. That old man game's been working for him, though.
Have you or have you not taken a sedative for tonight? Are you fully prepared?
Oh, for UConn Creighton?
And you're a huge favorite, which I kind of liked.
I'm a little nervous about how much of a favorite they are. What's the number at right now?
8.5.
Yeah, that makes me a little uncomfy.
That's big. How about the swing the other day? Not the swing. How about the steam the other day? Going from like 1.5 to 3.5, like 2 hours before tip against Quetty.
You've got it at 8.5?
Yeah.
I've got it at 2.5.
Are you sure?
I'm looking at it right now. Now, this is ESPN. I know we have some disputes with ESPN.
Oh, yeah, right. It's 3. I'm tripping.
Okay. I was like, 8.5 is huge.
Yeah, it's 4. It open 4.5.
2.5 seems about right.
It's 3.
2.5 seems.
Are you scared with Neely back? He balled the other day.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love it just because UConn is UConn, right? I know they haven't been that this year consistently, but they're certainly capable. I do think the atmosphere is going to be incredible with $1 beer night, 8 p.m. tip.
Do you pray that the weather holds off?
I do. I'm a little concerned. The weather text from Mom said like 6:37 it might start rolling in, which is a bad sign.
So I certainly have to get to my neighbors before then.
we back on the parking game.
Man, listen, I was gonna let it ride.
Yeah,
full disclosure.
You're just like, we're cool.
But my man RP rolled over last night.
My man.
I checked the ring. I was down. Yeah, but anyway, so he put the package on the door, and I went to get it at 2:24 in the morning.
Okay.
So I texted him.
That's a move.
I was like, hey, got the deal for Sharpie. Appreciate it. Yes, it's 2:24. That's all I said. So text back this morning is early. So good on him for being an early riser. He's like, yeah, about that park job. And then it gassed me up.
Yeah. I'm telling you, you need to say something.
You haven't seen, I don't know how though. And I'm pretty good with that kind of stuff, like conflict resolution, but it's not really a conflict.
Yeah.
It's a suggestion.
But here's the problem. If the suggestion doesn't go over well, it's going to become a conflict.
Yeah.
Look, I'm going to do things my way.
I mean, do you have to run into them on accident before it becomes?
So I would have to go full-fledged stalker mode. Like I'd have to sit by the window.
Because you don't want to just knock on the door.
I kind of did.
You kind of just knocked on the door?
No, I kind of want to.
Oh, yeah, that feels awkward to me. I feel like you kind of need to make it a natural interaction.
Hey, saw you out.
Yeah.
So what I do, run and like open a garage and pretend to be doing something?
Yep, 100%.
Well, that's creative. That's a lot of energy.
Or you pretend like you're going to check the mail or something.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, hey, I've been meaning to talk to you. So the other day it was pretty slick out, and I was kind of afraid I was going to slide into your vehicle there. I just
backing down in neutral.
Yeah,
no, it's actually about 1 mile an hour.
Just like we're just sliding right on. It gets pretty slick around here.
What does bolstered mean?
It's pretty slick around here.
So anyway, if the weather holds off, it should be pretty rocky.
Yeah, it should be pretty tuned up.
Who's on the call?
And they, you know how Creighton fans, not just me, feel about Dan Hurley. Not particularly in love with the man.
Does Neely bug you?
I mean, yeah, I'd prefer they didn't have him, if I'm being honest.
But you still got to think matchups, right? Like, is that a guy you were like, oh?
Probably not. Like, I don't know. Probably not.
He does take a little of the responsibility off of Caravan.
Yeah, I think it helps Caravan more than I'm worried about McNeely specifically. I will say him and Caravan are the size of players Creighton is sort of built to have options with. Mm-hmm. You've got a Jason Green, you've got a Mason Miller, you can throw a Fedor at him.
Exactly.
Trout's been even defending pretty well, although he's probably a little big for McNeely. He might end up on a Caravan from time to time. But like all those guys.
Every time you say caravan, do you want to say of love?
No.
No.
What's that? Is that a song?
On a caravan of love.
I think it's caravan, like a Dodge.
Why are you so particular?
Well, why are you so obsessed with me?
She's got my back.
I
think everybody knows I don't cuss, but that'd be a funny note.
It's not cussing if it's written down, right?
So
you just hand it to her.
Quiet is kept, though. The amateur part, there is a sticker that on the back that says amateur driver.
I'm just saying, you might need a. That's
could be a nice little play on
That's
words.
if the knock on the door doesn't work out. That's when you start leaving stickers on their car. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla, more Hurrdat Sports Radio. Coming up next.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Wrapping up hour number 1 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. DB, we'll get off of basketball here in just a second and talk about football because I know people love football, and that's great.
What happened? There's no football.
No, but there's a topic I do want to get to because one of our guests yesterday kind of just lit a match and then walked away. But we'll get to that here in a second. Can I say, as much as I dislike Dan Hurley, he's not even on the top of my bleep list for Big East coaches right now.
What list is that?
I've been listening to Coach Hurley and Danny Hurley a lot.
I know, Coach. Hey, what's bleep? What do you mean? Let's practice.
We can't say that till Monday. That's the closest I've ever come to being out on Coach Rule.
Really?
Is when he's like, yeah, I was listening to Danny Hurley a bunch.
Oh, yeah.
I've been listening to Coach Hurley and Danny Hurley a lot.
No. Get out. But he's not even – he's currently third on my bleep list.
No.
Can you guess – in the Big East. In the Big East. Can you guess who the other two are?
Okay, so you have 1, 2, and Hurley's third?
Currently. After tonight, I'm sure he'll be back up to 1. But currently, he's third.
Of dislikes?
Yeah.
Oh, Shaheen Holloway's 1.
Oh, no. It's not – I mean, yes. I dislike that he's bad at coaching.
Oh, so this is just like dislike,
personally bothers me. Personally bothers me.
Oh, this is tough.
I know. Although it's a couple guys I've talked about. And especially one of them is kind of famously annoying, I think.
I hate that.
That's when I want to hear him talk about Danny Hurley.
Shane is locked in this
I hate that. I think you should know one of them.
Oh, duh. And I'm wearing sleeves.
Yep.
Mr. Marquette. Yeah.
So him and the other
I started this because of him.
Him and the other guy have something in common.
That's absolutely not true. They both stand on the court.
They both play defense.
Okay, so the other guy would be
Creighton played this guy recently too.
Oh, Sean Miller?
I think it was last week. I don't know. I lose track of the game sometimes on who they played with. It was right before Marquette.
Oh, and you think he's a bad coach. Neptune.
No, Kim English. I also think he's a bad coach. But
what did Kim English? They don't even win enough for him to get under your skin.
No, here's the problem. It's the same thing.
I knew you hated Shaka Smart.
Yes, I do hate Shaka Smart, which is I used to like him, and now he pisses me off. But here's the problem. And I texted this in the group. Kim English was running behind shooters in the corner in the first half. Like sprinting behind them.
Yeah. He wanted guys to he wanted them to close out, Ravi.
I hate that.
He was just
Shaka does it.
He was just demonstrating how to close out. I was watching that. Yeah.
Shaka.
It's funny that sticks in my head.
I had never seen it before, but he was wearing bright pink the other day.
Well, as was his team.
No, that's fine, but it stood out a lot, right? It stood out a lot more when somebody wearing highlighter pink is running behind my shooters.
Is that what they call it on this?
Neon pink, highlighter pink. I don't know what the crayons. I don't know.
He's had some wow moments.
I'm just telling you.
He looked like he was Chapel Roan on the Pink Pony Club over there, just running behind my shooters.
The word I was looking for was swatches. That was not what I was about to say, and I was like, oh my God. The goddamn rabbit hole's been getting me. It's on the brain. I was like, is that what color it says on the swatches?
Yep.
Highlight pink.
I don't know.
Highlighter pink.
I don't know if that's the official color or not.
Been shut down.
Shut it down.
Although
I don't know. Apparently you can do that stuff now.
That's what I was gonna say. God, what a wackadoodle.
Apparently you can just give salutes and stuff and still run the government. Not a big deal. But
stick to sport.
I would love it. I would love it if
Shane gets so uncomfortable.
I would love it if these guys would stick to coaching instead of trying to play deep. Like, when did that start being a thing?
Shane, we didn't even broach Kendrick Lamar. You're good.
Nah.
Is they not like us?
A GA here, a GA there.
Do you like the lowercase a that he was wearing? I don't know if you know this, but in music, the lowercase letter actually means minor, in the minor key. I just thought it was interesting.
All I'm gonna say about that
thought it was interesting. Still a big Drake guy.
I love Drake. Mike had my back last night too in the living room, so take that.
He did not have it on the phone.
No, yeah,
hey, that's on you.
Yeah. He doesn't really mess with Kendrick though.
He backed away from he doesn't, but he backed away from your Drake cake in a hurry.
In his deep old voice, he's like, "Yeah, that's on you.
That's
all you.
That's all."
Bussin'.
Pressing. I've got a pretty good Tomlin.
No, that was terrible.
That was pretty good.
The thing that I'm most disappointed about in that deal is the dissing of Drake was not.
It wasn't the
not
point.
Have been the main takeaway.
It wasn't the point.
And if that was the main takeaway for people, then
you missed it.
Yep. Although I thought it was interesting that guys like Marky Mark would say things like, "Oh, I think it missed the mark." Like this dude is like black, white, red. Now feel the vibration. And like his draws, like if that dude didn't sell out to make coin, like knock it off, Mark.
Half drunk on
Marky Mark.
Am I misremembering that? Black, white, red. Now feel the vibration. Don't.
Good vibration. Yeah.
Same dude, right?
No, it's the same dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. He used to be part of the Rainbow
That was
Colors
a
of Benetton.
different dude. It's the same dude, but it was a different
Funky Bunch.
He's not that dude anymore.
Yeah.
Now he's
maybe that's why Hy-Vee booted him.
Yeah, they're like, "Hey, Funky Bunch, get out of here."
No, it might be just the opposite because I might be done messing with Hy-Vee too. I don't know.
Yeah. Man, I don't know.
Guys are high.
I'm just saying.
So, did you see where eggs up in was it Seattle? $11.98 for a dirty non-baker's dozen.
I don't buy a lot of eggs, if I'm being honest with you.
Bro, that's like a staple. I ate 31 deviled eggs Saturday.
That's too many.
Okay, 31 minus 15.
Have you seen
Dude.
Have you seen
dead serious?
Have you seen those memes of like I think it's from, you probably don't know this show, Rick and Morty. It's a cartoon show.
Okay, closer. I do know cartoons. Rick and Morty?
Yeah, it's like I think it's it's either Comedy Central, FX. It's like an adult cartoon.
Yeah, I'll mess with those. Except for Invincible.
And there's this meme because one of the characters, I can't even remember why, but he goes, "You know what?" Somebody gives him a terrible idea, and he goes, "You know what? You son of a bitch, I'm in." And there's this meme about deviled eggs where he goes, "Hey, do you want to eat 3 dozen eggs?" And he's like, "No. Why would I want to do that?" And they're like, "What if I split it in half and put a bunch of crap in it?" And he's like, "You son of a bitch, I'm in." That's you with the deviled eggs.
Dude,
you would never eat 3 dozen eggs.
They were incredible.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
I'm just saying, in what other scenario would any human being eat 3 dozen eggs?
See, and that's a day I don't even really remember. So Saturday I didn't really eat except for like the
for the 3 dozen deviled eggs.
Yeah, and I had like a couple of pieces of smoked salmon. That's awesome. I don't know why that's
because you ate 30 eggs.
Probably 15 or 16.
Okay, so you're just exaggerating.
So I'm just counting the dish that they were in. It was like this circular thing, and as you got closer to the center, the circles got less.
Is there any?
You know what I mean? So there's like 16 on the outside, then 14, then 12, or however many. And so I was just doing the
mental math.
It was well into the double digits.
Yeah, that's aggressive.
God, they were. Oh.
Is there any other scenario you would eat a dozen eggs just for funsies?
Not unless it was a casserole. But $11.98 I saw. And now these people are like limiting the buys.
Yeah, I actually feel like that's counterproductive sometimes. I feel like
you just want it to be a free-for-all?
No, I feel like sometimes when they put a limit on it, then it creates this sense of scarcity.
Yeah, my buddy, he said he talked with a lady in Boston, $20 a dozen.
I mean, we don't live in Boston, so that's good.
Oh, my man T-Mac got me.
What?
It's black people, so I conceded. I did watch Boondocks.
Oh, so it count.
That's when I was going through, there's a lot going on when I was watching that cartoon.
You seem like a BoJack Horseman guy.
No, I wanted to jump through my TV and punch Uncle Ruckus right in the face.
Uncle Ruckus?
Oh, yeah. Do you know who he is? Nah, I can't say it.
The who?
Uncle Ruckus?
I don't know who that. No.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna show you who he is because this is sensational radio.
Listen, we got a camera. You can show the people.
He got cracked on a run play.
Wait till Monday.
Okay, no.
I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna have to watch myself.
Hot Danger says I wouldn't want to sit in a room.
That's Uncle Ruckus.
Not a fan.
That is good. That's Uncle Ruckus.
So Hot Danger says I wouldn't want to sit in a room with somebody who ate 31 deviled eggs.
So you know what?
Kegs and eggs and football. Let's go.
Exactly. I'm not like different than normal people, but that doesn't like get me.
DB built different.
That doesn't get me. And maybe it was because I was like empty, but that's not a thing.
DK says, were those eggs from July of 2024, DB? I think he's making fun of your food safety.
Oh, no, I got to ask Amber.
T-Mac goes, the girls coach for Gretna East plays defense and runs and yells behind shooters. Yeah, don't do that.
They just want you to close out.
No, that's an a-hole move. Don't do that. Don't do that. Everybody knock it off. I don't know when that started being a thing. It's recent.
So you think Hurley gets teed up tonight?
Quit being a Dean Blandino.
I gotta hey Cooch, TK, see if you can
get a line on
whether Hurley gets a technical.
Yeah, give me a little plus money. I could deal with that. A little plus money on Hurley getting teed up,
aggravating him on purpose.
That's true. I'd be like, hey Dan, how are you, Daniel?
Oh shit.
That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla, more Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. I think we've landed on about 20 deviled eggs.
Yeah.
We checked with a third party who was present for the eggening, and we think we landed about 20. So 2 dozen, not 3. Still
10, 11, 12.
Still an aggressive amount of eggs.
Dude, it's Amber's fault. She said she used horseradish.
Still an aggressive amount of eggs.
That's fine.
But we'll leave that there for now. I'm
not paying $20 for eggs though.
No, I used to eat a lot of eggs. I don't eat a lot of eggs anymore.
Dude, I don't know.
Back in the powerlifting days, eggs were a staple.
Hey, speaking of which, of going to get a purchase, what was the bet you gave me last week where you wouldn't give me double or nothing because I'm plus 40, right?
Yeah, I was going to give you 20 more.
What was that? Was it Philadelphia, Kansas City?
No, it was before that. It was.
I was trying to replay it in my head. I was like, shoot, I could use that for eggs. I'm dead serious.
$60 on eggs. I'll get you.
No, 20.
Well, the 20 extra, but 60 total.
Yeah, I'd have kept the 40 to eat.
60 total on eggs probably could have gotten you your deviled egg budget for a Friday night.
I was arguing with our friend who was trying to downplay a guy that stole 100,000 eggs. And he
stole 100,000 eggs?
Yes. And he was thumbing his nose up at the fact that the estimated street value was $40K. And he's like, I'm not stealing 100,000 eggs for $40,000. I'm like, look, man, people go to work for 220 days out of a year at school.
Yeah.
For $40K.
Yeah.
Even if it took me 7 days to comprise a plan to steal 100,000 eggs.
Yep.
For $40K, that's not too much effort.
Here's the problem, though. Is then you got to offload the eggs.
So, yeah, I got buyers. These people are fighting at grocery stores.
Here's the thing. That's, if I learned anything from Ocean's 11, it's that it's not about the stealing. It's about how do you monetize whatever you stole.
Okay, so let's do the math. 100,000.
Yep.
Say divided by 12.
Okay. How many dozen is that?
That's 8,333. Okay. Times how much you want me to sell them for? Just pick a number that you think is street value. Let's just say $5.
Okay, I was gonna say 6, but 5 works. That's 40,000 and change.
Okay. You think I'm letting or do you think I'm letting those eggs go for $5?
No, probably not.
All right, let's say I let them go for $7.
$7. 7 seems fair.
Yeah, that's $58K. I'm doing that.
I'm just saying, offloading 100,000 eggs probably harder than you think it is.
Man, listen, I'll go stand outside Costco.
Where?
I'll go get one of those. Shane's looking at me. I could get a permit. I could. Do you see some of these street vendors? Why can't I just go apply at the city and be like, hey, man, I got some eggs? How do people at the farmer's market do it?
You do have to register as a cottage food seller.
Pardon?
Cottage. That's the term that they use. Cottage food seller.
Ooh, I might not pass. Do you have to have like certain markers?
No, I think you do have to pass a food safety test, which you would definitely fail because
they'd be cartoned up.
No, you have to pass a general food safety test and be like, how long is it safe to leave meat out on the counter? And you'd be 2 to 3 days. And they'd be like, what the hell? And you'd be like, well, I wanted to be able to eat it without having to warm it back up when I was hungry at 2:24 in the morning when I was grabbing packages off my porch.
It was a plaque.
For no
it was an award.
Apparent reason.
It's not true.
And then texting my friends that are definitely asleep. And they'd be like, DB, we just need to know. The answer is 2 hours. You can leave it out for 2 hours.
Before the best that ding dong could say to me?
Before it's in the
Thanks for Carolina, plus 5.5. Look, buddy, this is going to tell you, the goal is to beat the closing line, and I beat the closing line. The closing line was 4. That's what you want to do. Beat the closing line.
You didn't beat the closing line. They lost by 20.
Well, I mean, but I still beat the closing line.
How?
Because if I could get North Carolina at 5.5 and it closes at 4, I know they got drubbed, but I beat the closing line. That's the goal. That's the goal. I'm just telling you. It's like this. It's like, think of it this way.
That's some mental gymnastics there.
It's really not, numbnuts. Oh, how I had to break down a goddamn unit for you. I wanted to hit you with mine. I was like, pay attention.
Please don't hit me with your unit.
Oh.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.
I'm so sorry.
I'm just trying to get our iPad set up again.
Okay.
Like gambling units.
Yes.
It's because you gamble more than I do, so yours
That's a lie.
would be.
That is a bald-faced lie.
It wouldn't be fun to be hit with a gambling unit. I feel like that would hurt.
Oh, my bad.
That's all I meant. So we were talking,
and to think I came here crabby.
We were talking to Jason Cole yesterday.
Yes.
Who kind of just lit a match on a conversation, threw it at us, and then walked away. He did kind of the slow motion action movie walk away with the explosion in the background.
I've never seen that shit.
I think you have. You watch a lot of bad action movies.
Jeez.
You do. You love like a weird, crappy action movie. And you're like, you know what? It's pretty good.
I got you. Speaking of just walking on, leaving it, walking on by, you can't just say that and move on.
You love a crappy action movie. You know that's
I've
true.
stumbled into 1 or 12. It's fine.
It's just like you did the eggs. Stumbled into 1 or 2 dozen.
Wasn't a lot of protein. Else I had to went with the egg. Again, it was like over 3 hours.
That doesn't make it better.
Kegs and eggs. And
Tanner is a fool.
That doesn't make it better.
I can't even read that.
What did he say?
Look.
Tanner. Monday.
Stop it.
Monday.
Stop it.
Monday.
Knock it off.
Monday. Travis, thank you. Is there a lot of money in ink and matrimonial head masks? Yeah, if you can move them. My fence seemed competent enough. I'm a big Ocean's 11 guy. Hot Danger asked if we convinced DB to watch RRR yet. So how do you feel about
What's
either?
RRR?
It's an Indian action movie that I'm a big fan of.
Like Indian?
Like my kind of Indian.
Yeah, I ain't watching that.
That's racist. How
you
dare
guys
you?
got a lot of action stars? Or?
We do. It's a big industry in Bollywood.
Okay, humor me.
I'm just saying, it's a good movie.
Thought we were calling the quarterbacks.
I was trying to, but
and why are you going down the Travis rabbit hole?
Because he understood my Ocean's 11 reference.
And per usual, my man KP is with me.
I'm surprised that was
He
that.
could eat 20
I'm
easily.
surprised TK hit that instead of that. Seems like a Stephen Well actually moment.
What'd he
Where are
say?
you going to be selling these eggs at in the Midwest? The highest the eggs are is like $6.50.
Of course, TK.
So you're going to have to undersell them by about 6. You're gonna 6. You could do it with 6.
Yeah, and
That still gets you a clean like 49, 50,000.
You guys are.
Come on, math, you dick.
You are killing me this morning.
You got to have your fence though. You got to have the fence in place, otherwise you're going to get caught. That's the problem.
Knock it off.
That's how George Clooney ended up in jail at the start of that movie.
I
So
thought he was the protagonist.
well, he's the good guy, but he's in jail to start.
Oh, he hemmed up.
Well, he's a thief. So
like Akon, they got him locked up.
Akon,
You got me locked up.
Akon's a cool dude. I think he retired and went to put electricity in Africa. I think that's what Akon did.
Hot Danger's on a roll.
He is.
I might have to leave him alone.
Anyway, so Jason Cole yesterday.
He's talking about chemtrails.
You gotta be careful here.
Do you want to get the Wyatt before?
I don't know. Our iPad's not working, so I have no idea who's.
Well,
I need a time. Yeah, TK. Okay, TK. Maybe so TK probably doesn't mind driving. He drove to Lincoln for a game from KC. So like maybe he could drive me to
How far do you have to get outside of Omaha to
Well,
sell those
shoot,
things for $7?
Oh, I could if he could drive me to Seattle, I'd sell them for 20, 15.
Well, now you got more overhead for travel, DB. Come on.
Okay, we
cutting into
blow
your
$400 in gas.
You're cutting into your $50,000 profit.
$400 in gas.
This is why
I
you
won't need to eat.
This is why you need a business manager.
That's what TK's for.
He's a lawyer. That's to keep you out of prison for illegally selling eggs.
Hey, what are you trafficking? Eggs.
If your fence isn't good enough, TK keeps you out of prison. He's a litigator. Will be a litigator. Yeah, let's get to Wyatt here.
I'm scared.
I am too.
I'm totally. This is the chicken guy though. He's got the connect.
What's that mean?
It's
like Dalton.
It's slang. He's got the connection, the hookup.
I know. I watch Power. They talk about connects in that show all the time. They do.
Wait, well, how come you didn't pick a non?
Because that's where I heard the term used most frequently.
I'm moving on.
Breaking Bad, is that better?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, pick that guy. Those guys.
White people can be drug dealers too. Equal opportunity.
Asians can be drug dealers too, you know.
What's up, Wyatt?
You feel left out?
He's like, hey, we can be drug dealers.
Hey, what is that again? Is it the Yazuka? Yakuza. My bad.
What did you say? Waizuka? You trying to go play baseball at Legion Field out in Elkhorn? Tahazuka? What's going on here?
Why I am on these guys. I'm getting murdered this morning. Well, I need to go back home.
I would think DB stands for defensive back because he's doing a lot of backpedaling today. You know?
Man, I'm getting painted. That's the problem.
It's better than a kicker, but anyway.
What's up, Wyatt?
What's up? Hey, so as you know, I got chickens. So here's my proposition: if Robbie, you can help me get a permit at the farmers market, you can get those contraband chickens or those eggs. And just say I'll set up a stand, say, hey, they're all of our chicken eggs.
Nice.
And we'll split the funds after that.
Wait. Split. What?
He's your front. You have to split him.
Well, I'll split what, 20%?
We'll figure out the percentages.
I'm gonna be honest, 20 seems low for the guy that's taking a lot of risk for you. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, so Wyatt, let me ask you something. Not that you're a closet criminal, but like at the farmers market and stuff, I would only buy pork rinds. And by the way, he's not doing that anymore. Shout out Fred. How much are people willing to overpay for fresh?
I don't know because we don't actually sell our eggs like that, but I would say at least probably like a couple dollars.
Depends on if they're organic too. That's the thing.
Yeah, because if they are farm fresh, like if they are like fresh eggs, the fresh eggs do taste a lot better.
And they're like orange. They're a different color.
Yeah, they're orange. Yeah, and they're like
Ravi here for a lot of color this morning. Wyatt, a lot of color for Ravi.
I don't even see color.
If his wife bakes, she knows.
I have one more question. What are you doing with the chickens in this weather?
Chickens actually handle cold weather really well compared to the hot weather. So I know Sipple likes I think he said he uses a heater for his.
Yeah.
But they're fine. They're fine. They have a nice insulated coop, and so they just huddle up together at night, and they're good to go. Because
you take out a second mortgage on the old chicken house?
It's a shed. It's like a 8x8 shed that we got when we bought the house. Hey, it wasn't my decision. Remember that.
You're literally emotionally invested.
I didn't get the chickens. The chickens got me. So.
Kind of like Plymouth Rock. All right, Wyatt.
Yep. Pretty much, yeah.
Appreciate it. Asian Wyatt here for Asians being able to deal drugs too. Equal opportunity.
Quarterbacks.
So Jason Cole, yesterday, NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame selector, so he knows a thing or two about this particular discussion, was kind of just casually doing a drive-by of some quarterbacks, and he made some Hall of Fame comments that sort of got us spiraling down this path.
It occupied every break.
It did, and then it occupied a good chunk of the rest of my day because our friend Austin, who comes in and hangs out with us sometimes.
I think you were a little salty in that conversation.
Who, me?
Because I happened to catch you in the middle of it.
Yeah, you did. I wasn't really salty.
What did I call for?
I don't know, something.
Okay.
I can't remember. It was I think it was mostly a casual conversation. It wasn't anything terribly pressing.
Oh, I know what it was. Officiating.
That's right. Yeah. But so Austin at some point had come in. He's the only Carolina Panthers fan that I know outside of you.
Okay. He's a good man.
And so we had this Luke Kuechly discussion a couple days ago where I said, I'd rather see Torrey Holton over Luke Kuechly for, various reasons. And so he comes in, writes on the whiteboard in my office, Kuechly's a Hall of Famer, blah, blah, blah. I keep pounding all this, Panthers.
That's what you walked in.
Panthers nonsense. And I go, listen, man.
What's his history with Carolina? No, never mind.
We'll figure it out.
I want to finish this.
We'll figure it out later. But we've got a couple open segments here. We'll be okay. We'll get to it. But I much like Jason was talking about how they wanted to be more selective, I need something more exclusive than the NFL.
Ruckus Jason or a different Jason? Oh,
Jason Cole.
My bad.
Not Uncle Ruckus.
My bad.
No, I didn't watch the Boondocks.
Go. Just go.
I thought it was Uncle Rico.
Different guy.
No.
Different. I think different target audience too, if I'm being honest. I think we need something more exclusive than the Hall of Fames. They've gotten away from us a little bit. They've become halls of very good, and I need better. This is why years ago, in a former life, I came up with the concept of Lulla stars for the NBA. There are 18 Lulla stars since the NBA-ABA merger in 1976. That's it. There's been way more Hall of Famers.
So in the Ravi Hall of Fame, you don't have 18 NBA players.
Since the merger, correct. Because here's what I think matters. I need them to be more exclusive. Maybe it can be a special room inside the Hall of Fame. It's the Lulla Stars room. But here's how I defined it for the NBA. And I'll give you my definition for the NFL as well. So for the NBA, I need you to have the career resume, obviously. It has to stand up. You can't just have 4 months of Jeremy Lin, but it happens to be during the playoffs, so you win a title, and that's your thing, right? Have to have the career resume to back it up. And number 2, this is the most important one and the most controversial one because it leaves out some guys that everybody else likes a lot. You have to be the reason your team won a championship. You have to be, or the reason the team could win a championship, right? And the most controversial leave-off on this particular list is one Kevin Durant because he obviously has the career resume and he has titles. But you know what? There's a reason he didn't want to go back to Golden State. That's Steph Curry's team. Steph Curry's the reason they won those titles. And all of Kevin Durant's prior and subsequent stops kind of prove my point on Kevin Durant. Now, that's one that Jacob's going to text me about because he gets very mad about that one. But Kevin Durant, not a Lulla star, just as an example. The NFL, it's a little trickier, right? Because you don't have the one-to-one. There's not a linear, hey, you're really great. You're the reason your team won a title, right? The ultimate team game. How often do we hear people say that? So this is where I landed on the NFL, is you have to have the career resume, and then you have to matter in the story of the NFL. In your era, you have to matter. And that is very subjective. I understand that. And it's a bit ambiguous, more so than the NBA. But I think what?
Nothing.
You good?
Yes.
I think it's a good measuring stick because if you want to talk about what matters in the history of a sport, that's what a Hall of Fame is supposed to do. It's a museum.
But
it's supposed to tell you about the history of the sport.
I'm going to use this word only because you did, and I'm going to move on.
Ambiguous?
Yes.
Okay.
So once you get that out there, you open yourself up to debate,
which I want. I want the debate because you could tell me that Luke Kuechly changed the way that linebackers played the position, and I'd be open to it, right? He may not have mattered in terms of his team or his accomplishments, but if he changes the way that a position is played, I'm here for it. I had an argument about, or not an argument, we had a discussion about Steve Smith. Steve Smith was one of the first small primary wide receivers.
Not really.
Who was before him as like a really little guy that was like a true X and not a slot?
I don't know. Charlie Brown, maybe. Mark Duper.
Charlie Brown, like the cartoon?
No, this guy was African-American and he played wide receiver for the Redskins.
Charlie Brown played a little football too, but he was a kicker. I don't know if you recall.
Back to that ambiguous thing again.
How tall was Mark Duper? Do we know?
I'm going to say 5'10".
5'10", okay. Okay, they've got him at 5'9". So if you want to say, hey, Steve Smith's not that guy, I'm here for it, right? I've got some recency bias. I understand that. Your Rolodex on the NFL is certainly deeper than mine. So I'll hear that.
Although Smith's career significantly better at first blush than Mark Duper.
Sure.
But there were a lot of
But if he's not a trailblazer, the career by itself.
Weren't the Redskins, didn't they have the itty-bitty committee outside of Art Monk?
Oh, for the receivers?
Or was that Houston? No, because Haywood Jeffries was bigger. Who was the itty-bitty committee? I know we called our receivers that, but we had taken it from somebody.
We're going to look.
I think it was I'm pretty sure it was Gary Brown or Gary Clark, and I think it was Gary Clark and Charlie Brown.
I'm not getting a good answer. I'm going to have to look it up during a break. But my point is, and if that's the case with Steve Smith, we can leave him out. I don't have a problem with that. My point is, if you've got a guy that kind of revolutionizes a position or is a one-of-one, like Barry Sanders is a one-of-one as a running back in terms of stylistically and what he did.
Going for 1,500 yards in year 9?
Yeah, and just the way he ran the football, that's not been duplicated, right? And what hasn't been before hasn't been since. Barry Sanders matters in the course of the NFL.
So what if they didn't do it long enough, but they did something?
It depends on how long their peak is, right? Because Barry Sanders, all 9 years were a peak, basically, right? We have other guys where it's like, hey, they played 7, 8 years. Patrick Willis is a great example of this. He was good the whole time. He probably had 5 really good years.
So there's 3 backs that come to mind currently that I think the story should be told more, but it's kind of an afterthought.
Okay.
Priest Holmes, Jamal Charles, and Chris Johnson.
Okay. What's the case?
Curtis Duncan. That's nice. Very nice call. That's Houston. Do you remember that group, Shane?
With the tiny receivers?
Yeah. Very good. That's a good pull, man. That's a good pull.
Good talk, Shane.
Oh, no problem.
Boy, you are on one this morning.
You are on fire.
Jeez.
What do you want to talk about?
Nothing now. You missed it.
Clearly.
That delay caught you.
That's exactly right.
What's the argument for Priest Holmes, Jamal Charles, and Chris Johnson?
So they were so spectacular, but for a very small period of time. I feel like I want to talk about them more, but I don't know if people would think it's significant to the football story.
Yeah, in the history of football.
Yeah.
That would be my argument against those guys. They can go in the regular Hall of Fame. That's fine. If you want to put them there. They can't go in the Lulla Stars part. Because I don't think, unless you've got an argument for me, I don't know how much they mattered in the course of the NFL.
So let me understand this. Is the Lulla Stars, you want that to be the prerequisite for the Hall of Fame, or are we still just talking Hall of Fame?
No, so Hall of Fame is like the outer ring, right? Lulla Stars is where the elite of the elite go. This is the inner circle. These are the people you cannot tell the story of the NFL without, and they had the career resumes to back it up. Those are the golden circle, the golden ring, whatever you want to call it, of NFL history. Those are the guys, right? Austin brought up a good example of Joe Thomas. Joe Thomas, great football player, largely forget his career even happened. He was insignificant to the course of the NFL history because of where he played.
I don't know why you would punish people for markets and franchises, though.
Because other people have overcame them. That's the point.
Some.
So if some
I can only think of a hand. At first blush, I can only think of one, really.
Who?
Butkus.
Because
they were awful.
I would argue Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders overcame franchise and market. There's more than you think. We can continue this conversation next, though, on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. We will be back. will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back. Hurrdat Sports Radio. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. Mike is very mad about the Joe Thomas thing. Guess what? I can tell the story of the NFL without Joe Thomas.
Wait, I got to go back to our stream.
He's your Mikey D, Mike Delaware.
Oh, that's my dude.
Yeah. Guess what?
Well,
you can tell.
And I get him, Mike.
You can tell the story of that portion of the NFL without Joe Thomas.
I just think
greatness isn't enough. He can be in the Hall of Fame. He can be in the regular ass Hall of Fame with all the other guys.
Well, the Lulu Stars thing is made up.
It is made up. So is the Hall of Fame. Somebody just made it up one day. You know that, right?
This dude. What'd you have for breakfast? I'm dead serious.
Pop-Tarts.
Because whatever it is, don't eat it again.
I haven't even cracked open the energy drink yet. See? Look at that.
You're gonna get me kicked off.
Look at that. I haven't even opened the energy drink yet.
You don't need it.
Just wait till we get going.
Hey, so my man CJ sent me I love when my players do that. They're such good dudes.
Oh no, I'm discrediting franchise loyalty. Nobody cares, Mike. Nobody cares.
You know he's nuts, right?
It's 2025. Nobody cares. And you know what? No, I can't tell the story of the Browns without Joe Thomas. But guess what? I can tell the story of the NFL without the Browns.
Wow.
I don't care if you must be a Browns fan, which is lovely for you.
Kevin, K-Mac, he's got a good one.
What does he say?
Because you did say there's more. So I'll give you Barry. I'll give you Butkus. OJ belongs because the Bills were awful.
Yeah, he was the first 2,000-yard rusher. He has done enough that has never been done before or had never been done before that he makes it because he matters in the story of the NFL.
So, with regards to what though? 14 games. I mean, is it a different story than Dickerson? Is it a different story than?
It is a different story than Dickerson. He's when you're the first one to do something that matters.
But it's been done
since.
Oh,
I get that. Not a lot. It's been done more since.
I guess I'm struggling with how important you think the story is. It seems kind of arbitrary.
I mean, it is a subjective line, which is why it is open to debate. I can hear it. If you want to give me a reason for Dickerson, then give me the reason for Dickerson.
I think you belong in the storytelling if you were the best at doing something while you did it. Kuechly certainly qualifies.
Yeah, that's not good enough.
Well, that's fine. Like I'm not like that's okay. That's just that's
my threshold.
That's a total you thing.
It is, but
because it's about whether you care about it or not.
I think it matters to be better than just great. Like you have to also matter. Like greatness is one thing, and that's awesome. Good for Joe Thomas, good for Eric Dickerson, good for whoever else that we've talked about, right? But I also need you to matter to the game. If you're going to make that extra leap from regular ass Hall of Fame where everybody makes it to this, not everybody makes it. That's the NBA. I know. NFL is more exclusive, but if you want to make that extra jump,
NFL is actually
it's better.
It's pretty exclusive.
It's better.
It's tough.
But if you're going to go,
I mean, Vinatieri might have to wait like 2 more votes.
Yeah, which is wild.
I mean, Gary Anderson says, "Hold my Gatorade." Gary Anderson took forever.
He did. I think Vinatieri matters more to the history.
And he was goaty, and Vinatieri matters more than Gary Anderson.
He does.
Not Gary Anderson, Morton Anderson.
Morton Anderson. But Adam Vinatieri matters more to the history of the game than Morton Anderson does. I think.
Yeah.
So Adam Vinatieri should be in.
I wonder.
He's got the career accolades, and
I wonder, statistically speaking, outside of the hardware, Morton Anderson is the better kicker, right?
Maybe.
I'm pulling this out of.
I'd have to go look.
Yeah. So
all I know is
can I just use those two to tell the story?
Sure.
If you concede that Morton Anderson is the better kicker, but the story needs to be told with Vinatieri with the game winners and the rings.
Yeah.
You would justify Vinatieri ahead of Morton Anderson?
Yeah, because Vinatieri also has the resume. Like, I need both. I'm asking.
What if he's just
both.
a better player?
And what good did it do him?
Oh, see, you're losing me. Because what do you? So it's like the whole disagreement when Cam Newton answered the question the way that he did about would you trade your MVP for the Super Bowl?
Right.
And I kind of was riding with Cam's thought process.
I can get where he was coming from. I do.
Well, you have to, according to to how you look at it.
I do think that matters. Dallas asked an interesting question, and a guy that I actually talked about yesterday. He says, "Does Roger Craig make the Lulla starts?" He absolutely does.
I like Dally.
He is not even in the regular Hall of Fame, which is a travesty.
But he have
does
to
matter.
Tell the story of 1,000,000.
Exactly. He's in. He's a Lulla star, and he's got the career resume to back it up.
See, you're losing me.
Where?
And he's my I just told him I'm a huge RC guy.
He matters.
I wore 21 because of Roger Craig, but there are a ton of players that were better runners or better pass catchers as receivers than RC. But because RC was the first,
was very good at both.
You make him different. Then
I do.
I don't know if I can.
I
can't vibe with that.
Harder to replicate his skill set. Harder to replicate his skill set. A lot of guys are good runners. That's fine.
Okay.
A lot of guys are good receivers. That's fine.
Oh, he used a better example because AJ used an even better example. So according to your standards, Craig is in and Falk would be out.
No, Marshall Falk is also in because he matters for different reasons.
But it's already been done before.
The 1,000,000 has been done before, but Marshall Falk was a key piece of a era-defining team. That greatest show on turf, Rams, matter to the history of the NFL. And he was
you're talking real time.
In their era, yes.
Because
in their era, real time, They are a defining team in the NFL.
So what makes them because they won the title makes them different than like the run and shoot or
yeah, it makes them different than Air Coryell and all. Yes, it makes them different. This is what we play for. We play for championships, right? So that matters.
But what you're discounting is individual talent. I don't know. I can't ride with that.
I'm not discounting.
Well, it doesn't have enough value on your ranking system.
I am valuing it less than the Hall of Fame does. Yes. I need you to have the extra thing.
I can't ride with that.
I need you to have the extra thing.
Not even so I'm back to now I can't even entertain it. I can't because because at some point if a guy's better than another guy, that has to matter more.
It does matter.
Period.
For the regular Hall of Fame,
no,
it matters.
just not enough for you. Like period.
No, because I want the extra thing also. Roger Craig is an outlier because
Ravi.
What?
If you're talking about telling a story,
yes,
this is where I'm telling you have to be careful.
Okay.
Eli Manning has to be a Lulla star because he has 2 of the 3 wins against Brady's 3 losses.
Here's the problem, though. He doesn't meet the other criteria.
But he does, though. He threw for 4. Yes, he does.
His career stats do not hold up.
Of other Hall of Famers?
Of other guys in his era. Like, yes, his stats hold up against the 80s and 70s quarterbacks.
But you told me that so where's your cutoff for ability?
What do you mean?
Like, because it's clearly not high enough to...
Was there any point during Eli Manning's career where you would have put him in the top 3 quarterbacks in the era?
No.
5?
No.
7?
No.
10? Maybe getting close?
Yes.
So that's the point.
That's pretty arbitrary. But the story part he nails.
He does, but he doesn't get there on the resume.
If you wanted to make the case, he's going to get in.
Probably to the Hall of Fame, yes.
Okay, so
this is more exclusive.
If you operate, then he's in.
No, it's more exclusive than the Hall of Fame.
That's fine. If he makes the bare minimum for the Hall of Fame, then he has to make your criteria for the Lulu Stars of telling the story.
No.
Because he's already going to meet the criteria of getting in the Hall of Fame.
And I disagree with it. I don't think his resume, his actual performance is good enough. He is a 500 quarterback right on the dot. 60% completion percentage, which is not great for that era. He is 366 to 244 touchdown interceptions. Not good for that era.
Does the franchise count as storytelling?
Elaborate.
Can you tell the story of the NFL or about the NFL without the Cleveland Browns? That's what I mean.
Without the new Cleveland Browns, yeah.
What about the move? What about Modell, Thief in the Night?
Yeah, but that's Browns to Ravens. Like, has anything happened from the new Browns that has mattered in the NFL? Have they moved the needle in 25 years as the new franchise at all?
25 years.
So 99, right, is when they came back? Have they mattered at all?
They just missed the cut.
Have they mattered at all?
They just missed the cut.
So that's, like, I think you could tell the story of the last 25 years of the NFL without talking about the Browns a single time. That's where it's tough for Joe Thomas.
What's tough for me is how low-weighted the individual player's talent is.
I weigh it very highly. I just need the other part, too. If you don't have the other part, what am I going to do with it?
Interesting.
That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Radio. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, and brought to you by our friends over at Centris Federal Credit Union. Are you looking for a new car this time of year? They've got you covered with some great options for auto financing. Go over to centrisfcu.org to talk to one of their experts to see what your options are if you're looking to get into a new vehicle. Federally insured by NCUA. That's centrisfcu.org. So some people are mad. Mostly DB, I think.
I'm not mad. I'm just not. I don't buy it.
I get that you don't buy it,
and I think it's pretty easy to see why. The level of discounting the talent, all things being equal, I would have to go to is a guy better than another guy over can I tell the story?
I need both. I just want you to have both.
No, that's fine. But I can't rate can you tell the story more than if the guy was just better.
So who am I leaving out that you think tells the story well that I'm discounting their individual greatness?
Individual greatness?
Because you're talking about a guy just being great should matter, right?
Yeah, like I think.
But who am
I think what offensive lineman? How many offensive linemen?
Sure.
Like, what's the difference between Walter Jones and Joe Thomas?
Walter Jones played for winners.
Okay.
Here's my question though about Joe Thomas, right? Okay.
What about like Bruce Matthews?
Let me ask him. Well, he's got the durability streak and everything like that.
Okay.
But
better than Joe Thomas?
I don't know. I didn't watch a ton of Bruce Matthews. I'm being honest. Okay. But here's my question with Joe Thomas, right? If you tell me that he revolutionized the position or something like that, I'll make an argument. Or you can make an argument to like, okay, offensive line is played differently now because of Joe Thomas. I'll hear that. That's totally fine. Here's my question though. Can we point to a great offense that they had with Joe Thomas? Can we point to a great rushing game that they had with Joe Thomas?
So outside of a
didn't
guy,
play
so
for a
you
winner.
have Hannah, you have Dwight Stevenson, you have Dermontti Dawson. I'm getting into O-line now, where if you're going to tell the story, it's like, oh, uncover center didn't used to pull, or the athleticism here. Like, are you willing to go through that?
I'm willing to. I probably don't have the level of expertise on offensive line to be great at that. I'll fully admit that, which is why I'll hear arguments on Joe Thomas, right? But if I can sit here and somebody who's an expert or knows what they're talking about with offensive line can't tell me why they're different from any other great offensive lineman, like I need a differentiator. I need, hey, they were the Broncos in the late 90s are a good example, right? They were undersized for the time. They ran the zone scheme the way nobody else did. If you want to put some of those guys in the Lulla Stars, I'll hear it because they sort of revolutionized how the game was played at the time, right? Like that's a different thing to me. I can't point, like I get Joe Thomas was great. I can't point to a single other thing other than his individual greatness that moves the needle. That bothers me if we're talking about all-time greats. And that's what we're talking about with Lulla Stars. We're talking about like all-time guys that move the needle in the league and have the career resume to back it up. I need the other thing.
Yeah, I feel like I'm debating or counterpunching a target I can't see.
I will give the NFL version of this is much more hard to nail down than the NBA version. We could do quarterbacks because there is a more direct correlation between the NBA and NFL with quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are pretty easy. Like I need you to be a guy the way I need you to be in the NBA, right? That's part of the reason Eli Manning doesn't move the needle for me because, yes, he has the two huge upsets. If he doesn't have that four-man rush, he's not winning those, right? He's not the reason they won. He made a couple big plays, terrific. But he's not like Joe Flacco is a great example. He went on a heater for 4 games, right? 3 games, whatever it was. I don't think they were a wild card. 3 games. Had a great run, got paid for it, had a really nice career. I never look at Joe Flacco as like, that's the dude.
Let me give you an example of what
Sure.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because you said this guy would meet the standards. So I'm gonna give you
statistically.
I'm gonna give you a couple of things.
Okay.
60% completion percentage, 57,000 yards, 7.1 per completion, 366 touchdowns, 244 picks, a rating of 84.1.
Okay.
Okay, that's one guy.
Yep.
The next guy, 56.8 completion percentage.
Okay.
51,475 yards, 300 touchdowns, 226 picks, a rating of 77 or 78.9.
Okay. The first one's Eli Manning.
Correct.
The second one, Warren Moon.
The second one is John Elway.
Yeah.
But man, this is the arbitrary part that the storytelling thing versus the stats. What is the difference in telling a story between Manning and Elway?
So for me, I don't think Denver fans are going to get mad. I don't think Elway is the story of the two title teams. I don't.
What's the difference in the storytelling? Because
I don't think
Manning for you wasn't good enough.
I don't think there is a huge difference in the storytelling.
And Manning's stats are clearly better than Elway's.
Now, again, era does matter for quarterback stats, especially.
But so does narrative. So when I say the storytelling, it's like.
So I'll give you the storytelling. For me, they're not hugely different. They are both guys who won 2 Super Bowls on teams that I think a lot of quarterbacks could have won Super Bowls on. I think late career John Elway, a lot of teams could have won Super Bowls with those guys.
You don't feel disingenuous about devaluing Eli, but like we have this particular affinity for Elway, and whether you agree with the affinity or not, the narrative is out there.
I agree.
That's where you have to be careful with storytelling.
I agree that the narrative is out there, but and you do have to be careful with storytelling. I also think you have to be willing to say, hey, I get this is the general narrative. That's not really what happened, right? John Elway has this general narrative. That's not really what happened in the championships. When John Elway was the guy, they got their heads beat in. They did. Like, they made a couple Super Bowls, they got their heads beat in. That's a guy that wasn't the reason they won the championships in the late 90s. It wasn't about him.
But hearing those stats doesn't make you immediately think anything different about
it doesn't make me think anything
how we think different, how we think of guys.
I think we think too highly of John Elway a lot. That's what it makes me think. I think we think too highly of John Elway.
Then that narrative is tough because it is about the storytelling, and one story is told much differently than the other guy.
Yeah, and it's not fair, or I don't think accurate.
Yeah.
Like, I think John.
I mean, you just asked for a point.
And that's a good point.
I think that's a pretty good one.
No, it's a very good point. But that's why you kind of have to be willing to sift through what the popular narrative versus what the actual narrative should be, right? We have to do that a lot because we get this idea in our head. Andrew Luck, we talked about Andrew Luck yesterday. We have this idea in our head that Andrew Luck was this great quarterback. He played 5.5 seasons, was good for about 3 of them, and that's it. That's all of Andrew Luck.
Travis, this is kind of what I'm talking about. Travis says, Elway is better than Eli. Not whether I agree or disagree. Why?
Why is he better than Eli?
Yeah.
I don't think he is.
No, but here's the thing, though. The point that I'm going to make, and it's regardless of what Travis says, is it's going to be about his narrative, the storytelling.
Sure.
I'm curious to hear the answer.
Yeah.
But why? Like, how are we so emphatic about that?
That Elway's better than Eli?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good answer because I don't believe that to be true. I think they're pretty similar, if I'm being honest. Like,
he said, all my flabbers are gasted. I'm not. Now, hear my heart, T-Rav. I'm not. I call my other Travis that. I call him Trouble T-Rav, but it's fine. He can just be T-Rav. I'm not making the case for one being better than the other.
You're asking what the difference is.
I presented my case in court to a counselor that is dead set on it being one way.
Like,
that's what I did.
Yeah, that's fine.
Now you can whomever you think is better is fine. That's my example for your argument.
Yeah, and I think that they are both very similar and would not make the cut for me. John Elway wasn't because if we're going to go quarterbacks are very similar to how I view the NBA stars.
Okay.
John Elway wasn't the reason they won those titles.
Now, I'm glad my man Josh said this. Shane, QU, get your mic on, because I asked you about another quarterback yesterday off air when we were arguing like cats and dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Josh says, so we don't give any credit to just getting to Super Bowls. Can we tell the story of the NFL without the drive? Now, I wouldn't have used the drive as the example because I think you can tell the story. Hundreds of quarterbacks have done that.
Mm-hmm.
But I will entertain the getting to the Super Bowls because who's the quarterback that I brought up yesterday?
Who?
Can you tell the story of the NFL
mm-hmm.
without Jim Kelly? And we went to Jim Kelly's stats, and you said, "Okay, no, you can't tell the story." But I don't love his stats.
Yeah, I don't think the resume holds up.
So for Josh, you would say your narrative is it's subjective.
It is.
It's pretty subjective.
I mean, greatness in general is subjective. It is.
Not as objective as we'd like to make it. I think, like, if you just played at first blush or word clues or first thing that come to mind when you come to players,
mm-hmm.
it's easier than you think.
I think we go on instinct a lot, and I think that can be a mistake.
Like, I think
that's the problem I run into with people with Bo Jackson, is they have this instinct about Bo Jackson.
But he was a great player.
But his resume doesn't hold up.
But he was a great player.
When he played, yes.
Yeah. So, like.
But if we're talking about all-timers.
Okay.
Go ahead.
But when I say, was Bo Jackson a great player or not? And you just have to say yes or no. You're going to say yes.
Yes.
Okay.
But is he a Lulla star
so
or not?
It's not.
No.
It's not. I'm not saying that.
I know.
But I'm saying it's not as hard as we make it.
No, but there has to be another
even
part.
For a guy that you've argued against as much as Bo,
I know he was great.
He's a great player.
But the resume isn't there. That's my point.
Yeah.
Is the other stuff.
I understand. I'm just saying the greatness thing isn't as hard as we make it.
No, but I need longevity. I need the other stuff too. That's my point. That's a nice long discussion on the Hall of Fame. We've got Mike Schaefer coming up, Husker 24/7. Next.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are still waiting on the one and only Mike Schaefer from Husker 24/7, and we'll get to him as soon as he chimes in here in just a second. Are we still efforting him, Shano?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just asking the question. I didn't know if you'd given up or what happened there.
No. I've never give up on my man Mike.
Okay.
He's my guy.
He might still be recovering from Huddy's birthday.
That's true. You gotta be careful there. Those little kid birthdays can get away from you.
He's logging in. He's logging in now.
Little kiddo.
He's logging in now.
Yeah.
Who's kiddo?
Degenerate.
Oh man,
that's a nice little setup at the house.
There you go. Oh, that's at the house.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
They trying to get him some.
I think he's low key rich. He just doesn't tell me.
He's trying to get some Vitarays in there. What's going on? He got the.
Yep. Exactly.
We've got.
That's our man.
We've got our guy Mike Schaefer here from Husker 24/7. What's up, Schaefer?
Not a ton. How are you guys doing today?
Just arguing. I mean, it's kind of what we do, man. How was
sports talk?
Right. That's kind of the deal.
Hey, so how was the commingling of the Super Bowl and Huddy's first? I don't want
it was good.
Hudson. Let's go with Hudson.
Hey, you can call him Huddy. That's fine. I don't have any problem with it. Maybe in a few years he might correct you on it, but we'll worry about that when he's able to.
Hey, who's this weirdo called Huddy?
Yeah, get it up to 80 mile an hour with that soft toss stuff. It's not Huddy.
Yeah. No, it went well. We did that on Saturday, and then his actual birthday was Sunday. But we had the party on Saturday. It went well. I didn't have to troubleshoot a hot dog roller or a nacho cheese machine.
Hey, so is that yours, guys? Is that yours?
We Shelby has some family friends that had access to both of them, so we were able to borrow those machines. And turns out a lot of people like gas station nacho cheese. Not me per se, but I was shocked by how many people were so fired up to have just trash nacho cheese on all of their food.
So nacho cheese is one of those things that a lot of people prefer the worst option.
They prefer what?
Rice.
Like the worst option.
That's fair.
The movie theater.
I want real cheese.
No. We want chemicals.
I don't know. I can't really do it.
There are some things though, right? You guys, where you prefer the
cheap option,
the cheap imitation knockoff.
Sure. I'm not. I don't want anyone to mistake me as someone with class here. I love the Kraft mac and cheese, and there's no way in hell that's cheese, whatever it is.
Cheese
but
product.
I'm fine with that. But for whatever reason, where I draw the line in the sand is I do not like concession food nachos or gas station nachos. I don't like that nacho cheese. I try to avoid it on most things. And that sort of is what it is. But you had people just taking their hot dog and they're passing up all the toppings bar that we have, and they're marching right over to the nacho cheese station, just slathering that thing up.
With the hot dog? They put the nacho. Yeah.
With the hot dog, yeah.
I love cheese on. I put cheese on anything, but I particularly like it on a hot dog.
I mean, full disclosure, I do enjoy a cheap nacho cheese.
So on this protein deal I'm doing, Schaefer, about 3 weeks ago, I just did 3 kielbasa's. I slit them open. I put a strip of Gouda cheese in there, and we had some leftover chili, and I just ate it.
That sounds delightful. None of that is whatever comes out of that machine. In the even worse is when you're putting it together and you have the big bladder bag of it, and it's people are gonna eat this. It's gonna go into their body.
Yeah.
But
I feel about this.
Again, I don't want to misrepresent myself. I am a raccoon. I am a trash panda. Whatever when it comes to food, but that is where I draw a weird line. I do not care for it.
How dangerous is it though, Mike J, when you have just access to stuff that's just readily available over the course of the day? Because all you guys would do is just refill, right?
Well, it's even more dangerous when the next day is the Super Bowl party, and then on Monday it's You just made 48 hours worth of terrible food decisions. You're in your mid to late 30s. You exercise whenever you have to go up or down the stairs at this point in your life. So, like I'm glad I didn't have a physical schedule for Monday. I'll tell you that much.
Dave,
wouldn't want to have that conversation.
Let me ask you this, okay? This is not to do with anything that anybody on the show has done recently. What is the max number of deviled eggs you could have over the course of a day?
Not a big deviled egg guy. Like I would max out at 2 because it's not something I'm excited about. There are members of my family that like the deviled eggs have to be put away from because they'll eat too many of them and it'll cause a fight because there won't be enough left for other people. I have like a niece where my sister has to like take the deviled eggs and put them somewhere else in the house.
Bless her heart.
So, like I'll max out at 2 because it's not really my thing, but I've seen some people, some small people take down a lot of deviled eggs.
Yeah,
so
let's go with 2 times 9.
Safe to say your number's less than 20.
Yes,
okay.
Significantly less.
I was just checking. I'm just trying to do a straw poll here.
It wasn't normal. I just was biding time.
It's funny that you brought up how dangerous it is just to have things out because DB fell victim to that with the deviled eggs.
I just wondered. It's like no pressure. Like he's got the gear on. He's so stinking cute. He's clearly got wheels. He won a race in front of 14,000 people, so he's not gun shy. He's gonna be able to hit a baseball. Like, I mean, we're grooming him for greatness.
Trying. I mean, I can send you a picture of him underneath a basketball hoop, not quite able to figure out that the ball needs to go above the cylinder, but we're still working on that.
Why am I not surprised that Shelby knows people that can provide? She's like the Red of being a wife, like from Shawshank. She just knows people that she knows how to get things.
She loves to host stuff, and I like being a host, but the anxiety that it gives me that something could go wrong and then I'll be exposed to this fraud that can't really fix anything in the moment. Or, like I spent most of Saturday just like hoping the hot dog machine didn't short out or cause some kind of electrical issue in my house, or just hoping that the nacho cheese machine would work because, like your job in this situation is to then make it work or to fix it or to come up and troubleshoot stuff. I don't have skills. I think I've made that pretty clear. Like I can talk my way out of most situations, but if it's like I have to apply myself to something, we're in real trouble here.
So it's right on cue, and I love talking to you this morning with Nebraska back on this role. And I would consider, even for a relatively younger guy, you've been a basketball fan your whole life, right? Nebraska basketball fan. Are you over kind of Sam said something on Monday I thought was interesting. He's like, he wants Nebraska fans to stay current because he thinks this team is pretty good and the past isn't on them, and he wants them to play freer. And he's some legit points. As a fan, as a lifer who's seen some ups and downs and kind of had to ride the wave, are you capable of kind of staying in the moment when you're watching this team perform 6 in a row, now 4 in a row to the good?
I think you have to. I think at some point you have to take stock of the team that you're watching and then determine what their actual level of play is. And part of it for me, when that 6-game losing streak, yes, you got blown out by Purdue, and yes, you got blown out by Wisconsin. The other 4 games in there were basically coin flip games, and you just kept coming up on the wrong side of the coin flip. And some of that is you, right? Like they didn't finish games. I think that's one of the things that stands out to me about this team. End of half, end of game. I don't love Nebraska in that situation. Start of the half, start of the game, that's kind of where Nebraska seems to be at its best because they catch people by surprise sometimes, or they maybe have a wrinkle here or there to start a game or do something a little bit unique. But yeah, I looked at it that they were the same team that beat UCLA, was the same team that struggled to close it out against Rutgers or close it out against USC. I mean, to me, they're an above average basketball team that can lean towards good or can lean towards average. And on the wrong night, they're playing average to even below average against another average or above average team. There's no easy games in the Big Ten. Even Washington was a struggle for Nebraska because they came out and they were hot. Nebraska was able to continue their offensive show that night. Washington cooled down. Nebraska overtook them. So even during the losing streak, it wasn't so much, man, was this a mirage? It was, okay, why are they continuing to struggle in the end of games? I don't know that they figured that out necessarily, but what has happened is that some of their role players have started to play a little bit better in small increments. You have different guys stepping up in different games. Raleigh Wooster was huge against Oregon. Braxton Mia's 7 minutes in the Ohio State first half, I thought were critical for Nebraska. He scored the last 5 points of the last 6:44 of that half to keep it from being a double-digit game. He's important sometimes in there for defense in the post. He made 3 free throws, which he's only made 6 all season. Like, you get these little Herculean efforts every other game from different players, and you may not get great Andrew Morgan every time out, but when he's giving it to you and you're also getting what you expect out of Juwan Gary and Bryce Williams, and Connor Esiason can toss in a 3 or here or there. I mean, their pathway to victory is narrow, but it's still conceivable because I think they have a nice collection of role pieces around Bryce and Juwan. If Bryce and Juwan can stay on their track, Nebraska is going to be a tough team for a lot of people to beat, especially when Bryce, it feels like, has gone to another level in this 4-game winning streak because he's being less efficient, which is a weird way to praise someone, but he's willing to eat more bad shots that could become baskets for you or be more aggressive, because the alternative on Nebraska's offense sometimes they're playing 2-on-5, depending on who's on the court and if Connor Esiason can shoot that night. So it's a unique setup, and I give a ton of credit to Fred Hoiberg. A ton of credit to Fred Hoiberg. So to the idea of staying current with the team, I think the big thing is you can't look at this team as if it's last year's team. They're set up entirely different. They play differently. Nebraska has to choke teams out in a lot of ways for stretches of the game and then just score enough points to come out on top. Sometimes they're able to win by double digits doing that. Sometimes they can win a squeaker. Sometimes they end up losing by 5 because they don't do enough of either the offense or the defense. But I think they have the ability to play in different game flows in the way that last year's team maybe couldn't. And I think that makes them a really unique team as we get towards the crunch time here right before the postseason or even the postseason. I don't know if they're better than last year, but I don't think it really matters. I think this team has the ability to play with a lot of different teams. They also have the ability that if they show up, the defense isn't good and the offense isn't there, they're going to get smashed. I mean, that's kind of where they are. But it feels like they're headed to a 20-win season, which you would have polled people in November. A lot of people would have lied to you if they would have told you that this was coming. I don't think people believed in this team. And that's why I think it's such a credit to Fred Hoiberg, because he's getting max performances out of a number of players here.
Schaefer, I'm curious what your thoughts are on the Berkay injury, because you mentioned the 7 crucial minutes out of Braxton Mia. That's not a guy that I feel like Nebraska's been able to count on over the course of the season. Has been pretty hit and miss with his minutes.
And he still was a -7 plus 7, which was the
and that's the wild thing in there, because it was such a bad stretch for Nebraska. But if that's a -12, I don't think they win that game.
Right. And so my question is, like, with that injury, seems like he's going to be out Thursday, at least according to reports. Don't know how long that ankle is going to linger. How do you feel about this team knowing that they've got that wild card to the equation out there, especially considering that Berkay has had some moments where he's played well this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think where they're going to miss him the most is at times he can be their most consistent rebounder. And he has a lot of issues and has a lot of potential. I think he's a really frustrating player to watch. And at the same time, it's hard for me to walk away from it and think he isn't really valuable to what Nebraska does too. So it's not like there's an obvious replacement to him, but I think they're going to have to get more minutes out of Andrew Morgan. They're going to have Morgan and Mia stay out of foul trouble, because those are your 2 post guys. I don't know that you can go to a Kale Jacobson at the end of the half. Can you get more minutes out of that? Gavin Griffiths seems pretty confined to the bench at this point.
Is there any part of you that wonders he must like?
I would love to see more of him. I would love to just see
make shots
3 minutes a game or something. Yeah, because even if he's coming in and all he's doing for 3 minutes is he's putting up 2 3-pointers, if you're getting one out of those two, that's kind of valuable for Nebraska because it's so hard for them to come up with 3 points in a possession. It really is. And so I would like to see him more, but I understand it hasn't gone well. And if it's not working in practice, if your rotation is fine for what it is, I mean, I see Aaron Eulis out there, and I don't know what he's giving them anytime he's playing. So I don't know why Gavin Griffiths can't get off the bench, but it's a different position. And I think he's there to largely spell Hoiberg or
the broadcast team was surprised when Eulis got in the paint and kind of threw up the footer for like Eulis with the shot.
I
was,
and I don't mean to insult him. I am stunned at how bad it looks sometimes when he's on the court, given that the experience that he came in with. And I don't know if it's just he doesn't fit in the flow of things, or if he just
I think it's
kind of tries to do too much when he's out there, but it has not looked good most of the year. And so I would like to see more Gavin. So maybe Burke's injury leads to more Gavin Griffiths in a small stint. But I think they're going to try to get more out of Andrew Morgan, who I think has been very good for Nebraska in a quiet way. And then Braxton Mia, who I think can provide more than he has. It's just you have to manage those minutes because he can't run the way that everybody else can. And I think that's why he hasn't played against certain teams.
I think for him, it's his effort level, right? If he just maximizes and it's only for 4 or 5 minutes, man, do that.
Well, I mean, I think maybe both of you were at the Creighton game. I'm sure you watched the Creighton-Nebraska game. Braxton Mia was terrific effort-wise in that game. He worked his butt off defending Kalkbrenner in the first half. The first time he went to the bench, he was exhausted because of the 5 minutes that he was in. He worked so hard in that game. And that version of him exists. I don't know that they can work him into everything else that they try to do. And I think you get worried that teams, especially I think Oregon, he didn't play in that game. You're worried that teams were going to run on you. And he's a little bit of a detriment conditioning wise and speed wise.
That's Mike Schaefer, Husker 24/7. Schaefer, moving forward, and not to stick on Berke here too long, but Fred said he may miss some time. How long can Nebraska sort of weather this next stretch without Berke in the lineup?
I think something we probably need to do is acknowledge that Nebraska has been pretty fortunate health-wise. Lots of teams have injuries. Lots of teams have guys that are banged up or are not able to be as effective in playing as they are. And this is part of the adjustment of being a college basketball team. So it's unfortunate that he's out, but I don't look at Nebraska I don't expect things to be any different for Nebraska because they're missing the third or fourth guy on their team. Other people are going to have to step up, but you're going to take on a Northwestern team that's missing its top player. You're going to take on Owen Freeman, an Owen Freeman-less Iowa team later in the season. This is what happens in college basketball. And Nebraska's been pretty fortunate injury-wise. So, in an ideal scenario, I think if you could have them back by Penn State, which I believe would be missing 2 games, that would be sort of, I think, the best case scenario here. I would be surprised. He's obviously not going to play on Thursday. I would be surprised if he's back for the Northwestern game. But if you can get him for Penn State and Michigan down the line, I mean, getting that win against Ohio State was huge because I look at the rest of the month, and if you can beat one of Maryland, Michigan, and then win either one or both of the away games, you've set yourself up in such a great position. You don't want to say that they can middle it out and split the rest of the month and still be fine because you want to stack as many wins as you can. You want to get over 500 if you can in conference play. But I think they can survive this even if they drop a game or two this stretch.
They have another one against Ohio State, so that could end up being the difference. But currently sitting at an 8, 2 games behind Illinois. If you had to guess, would you say 8 higher or lower for Nebraska to finish?
I'm going to be the rare version of Mike Schaefer and go optimistic here. I think they're going to finish better than 8th in the even with this injury, I like the way that they are playing. I think that there's a strong internal belief. I like this version of Bryce Williams. I like how the schedule sets up. I don't think there's anyone they can't beat that's left on their schedule. I don't think there's any guaranteed wins either, but I think Fred Hoiberg's a good coach. I think he has them playing in a good confidence level right now, and I think they're going to finish closer to 6 than they are 8 in the conference.
They could pull within a game of Illinois if UCLA can find a way to get a dub. I mean, that's a pretty big matchup quietly for at 7 tonight in Champaign.
Don't by fighting Mick Cronin's, they'll take care of business.
Do you guys think that we do this too often where every year it's college basketball season and there's going to be a stretch where a team struggles a little bit, and then you have to remind yourself there's 31 games, there's 5 months of action. Like, this is a marathon every single time. You know, Nebraska had that stretch last year where they lost a few games in January, and it was, they're just not going to get it done, and they're going to waste another season. Like, I think we have to remember, and because it's so new for Nebraska fans to experience winning in conference play, you just have to remember it's a marathon, and it's the same thing towards the finish. There's 8 games left, 7 games left. So, if Nebraska can manage to get through these 7 games, I think they're going to be in really strong position going into Big Ten play or tournament play.
As a diehard Carolina fan, man, I tell myself that all the time, but it's the second time.
Just having a bad stretch. We're just having a bad stretch.
In 3 years, they won't make the NCAA tournament. So the answer to that, no.
As someone who's watched a grand total of 8 minutes of Clemson play this year, I was kind of impressed by the Tigers.
Schaefer.
That wasn't even really their guys that got Carolina.
Oh, I was talking about the Duke game. North Carolina, I don't think is very good.
Clemson is capable, and Clemson is capable.
I will say, Schaefer, to your point, teams go through ebbs and flows over the course of the season. It is pretty unusual for an NCAA tournament team to have a 6-game losing streak and still make the tournament. Like, that is, I get there are ups and downs, but that stretch in particular was pretty concerning, even though most of the games were coined.
And I don't mean to minimize it, because you're still the team that lost 6 games in a row. It's more so rather than, and there was people that will claim they didn't do this. There are a lot of people that wanted Fred Hoiberg fired in the middle of that.
And if they say they're lying.
So it's one of those things, like, you kind of have to let the season play out. Like, especially in these long season sports, we want to treat everything like football, where it's you want to have the instant reaction. You want to measure the how everyone feels after every play. And basketball, you have to have a more measured take. We're going to experience this in baseball, where Nebraska baseball might have a rough start because of who they're going to play, or have a rough stretch at some point. And we're going to hear about that. And then by the end of the year, they're going to be right where you expect them to be. I mean, that's just the larger point of this is we can't treat everything like football, and we shouldn't even treat football the way that we do sometimes.
Let me ask you something, Schaefer, because I'm going to do this with Ravi before we talk to Coach Bolt at 9:43. Nebraska's currently 8, and we know the remainder of the schedule. Let me give you 3 teams ahead of Nebraska, and I want you to tell me if you think they're better or worse than their perception. Real quick, you ready?
Yeah.
Michigan at 10-2. Are they better or worse than that?
I don't think they're as good as what people might perceive them to be. So worse than their perception.
Wisconsin 9-4. Are they better or worse than we think?
I don't believe in them either. You look at the numbers; they haven't beat as many quality teams as even Nebraska has. But they smoked Nebraska, so pair that one up.
Last one, Maryland, 8-5 in the conference. Are they better?
Better.
I agree.
They play everyone hard. This is a really tough game for Nebraska on Thursday. They play everyone hard. Maryland has earned my respect.
And they got over the road woes too, kind of.
That's Mike Schaefer, Husker 24/7. We appreciate it, Schaefer.
Thanks, Schaefer.
See you guys.
More Hurrdat Sports coming up next.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Radio. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla. We are here on the Pillar Exterior stage, and it's time for Bet On It. Brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook, the best place in Nebraska to place your sports bets. Go to warhorsecasino.com or download the app for all the promotions and house rules. What's up?
Kobe, he's killing me.
What Kobe do? Kobe. What's up?
Kobe. Oh, it's a goat name, though, so I'm so he thinks Nebraska finishes lower. That would be extremely disappointing.
It would be.
But I've walked through the scenarios off air. You're kind of vibing with me now. I don't think they can get any higher than 7.
Correct.
I don't think. I mean,
because they can catch Illinois. It'd be tough to catch Maryland.
Now, the team that we're missing that could maybe hit the that could maybe run into a rough patch is UCLA.
Oh, you're always hating on my fighting
I'm
Mick
not.
Cronin's.
I'm not.
You're hating on them.
Not at all.
Hating on the fighting Mick Cronin's.
I just,
who for all the consternation also didn't lose 6 in a row, but whatever.
So the schedule isn't daunting. They're at Illinois.
For UCLA?
Yep.
At Illinois, at Indiana.
Yep. Then they get Minnesota at the house.
At Purdue, at Northwestern.
Yep.
And then USC at home.
So
it's not daunting.
No, but
they're favored to win.
But I could see them dropping 2 games.
Yeah, that's what they're scheduled to drop 2.
Okay.
According to Ken Palm.
Okay.
That they'll drop 2.
And Nebraska's from here on out are toss-ups, virtually, right?
The next 4 are hard toss-ups. Like they are
within 1 to 3 points.
1 point each.
Yuck.
The next 4 are 74-73, 70-69, 76-75, 75-74, according to one Kenneth Pomeroy. So 1 point each for the next 4. Then there's their favorite.
The trickiest one in that one for me is Northwestern.
Not Maryland?
No, the trickiest one to decide.
Oh.
I think most people will concede Maryland.
Gotcha. Okay.
Even though I don't think they should.
Shouldn't concede it, but that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Because Nebraska played them well for 35 minutes out of the 40, and it wasn't the last 5. It was Nebraska had an early stretch at about the 12-minute mark where I was going ballistic because they wouldn't guard Jacoby Gillespie. Remember, he's hitting the threes, and I was like, I'm telling you, this guy is good.
He can get a bucket.
And, I didn't love the tail, that stretch wasn't the tail end from about 10 to 7 minutes in the second half. And then they kind of battled back and ooh, we got one. And then Maryland did their thing at the end. But, Queen is a nightmare.
Yeah.
You watch him the other night against Rutgers. He was sensational. And Rutgers gave them everything they had. I was so mad at Ace Bailey because and I tell this to our guys, don't be the guy that this is such a stupid DB thing. So I'm just weird like that. If you can't play, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or try to be as normal as you can if you're with us. The whole towel thing and head down, man, if you're that, go to the locker room, bro.
Don't be a baby around other people.
Yeah.
You're doing too much.
That's what I kept saying. Stop panning the camera on it.
Yeah.
Stop panning the camera.
Did you get the sense? Okay. Because I'm this way sometimes, and maybe it's because I'm a jerk, but it's hard to tell.
I just kind of admitted I was. I just didn't use the J word.
I have a hard time sometimes when guys are doing that because I go, are they doing this for the show? Are they doing this because they know the camera's going to pan on them? That's the sense I got with Bailey. Was he was doing it because he knew people were watching. Is he going to act that way?
You got 50 scouts in the building.
Is he acting that? Is he going to
That
act?
game was star-studded. It was Bailey. It was Harp. It was Queen.
I'm a big Harper guy.
Yeah, I'm telling you, though, he doesn't shoot it well enough. I'm surprised you like him
as
much as you do.
He's so smooth.
Yeah, he's Malanta.
He's so smooth.
Smooth as Malanta.
So Nebraska, here's the one I'm worried about a little bit with Nebraska. Obviously, so they're favored. One of the games they're favored the most at. Obviously, you got Minnesota that they're highly favored at, and then Iowa to end the season. I don't know what to do with
That's
Iowa.
at the house, though.
It is, but I don't know what to do with it the way the last one played out. I don't feel great with that being the last time I saw Nebraska and Iowa play, because they gave up 2 separate 30 burgers to 2 separate guys in each half. I don't feel good about that. Like, that doesn't make me feel good about Nebraska, Iowa, and they're pretty heavily favored. They're an 8-point favorite, according to Ken Palm, this far out. Like, I don't feel great there.
I know.
So there's a couple in there that they are favored to win that I'm a little iffy on.
Schaefer said something, and outside of Pop Isaacs, and Omaha's been relatively unscathed. Nebraska's injury situation has been pretty fortuitous.
It has. I don't think you can downplay the Pop Isaacs injury. Like, he was supposed to be a critical part of that team. Like, that's a big injury.
I know.
Like, that's a big injury.
I'm not. I certainly not.
You know, so while they haven't had a ton of them, that's a significant one. Berke is a tough break for Nebraska right now.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Because people say that. And I used to be the king of this, and I don't want to dominate this segment before we get to any picks.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, oh, can you imagine if? Well, part of Ashworth's freedom to do what he does and his impact is because Pops isn't playing.
100%. That's accurate.
So
he was forced to do something more because there was no Pops. That's accurate. You could make the argument for Jemiah too.
Right. You don't get that life with Pops in it.
Yeah, you don't get this version of Jemiah or Ashworth probably with Pops in the lineup.
I'm very cognizant.
Now
of
the
that.
question is that better or worse than what we have now? That's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Because we saw a really good version of that team with Pops against Kansas, right?
Although this Creighton team,
they're rolling
outside of the fortunate bank shot, which I still believe if you do enough right things, I don't really care that it hit the glass. I think it's a non-factor.
Sure.
I think
great play drawn up, wide open shot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like that's
it's okay to get lucky sometimes.
Yep. They're
playing really well.
They're playing well.
They really are. You're getting a lot of guys playing well.
Like Marquette, it was like, are they ever going to be able to get I don't think they can get a significant enough stop.
Marquette?
They pulled away from Providence. They had the barrage of threes against, was it Nova or Xavier, where like 4 of the last 5 shots were threes. Their ability to close
has been really good.
It's been great.
Yeah. Because that Providence game was a fist fight. And
it was 53-49 or something like that. And then it was like, up.
Well, even into the mid to high 60s, it was still back and forth, back and forth.
It was 63-59. I'm tripping.
And then all of a sudden, Creighton just goes, boom, 81-69. This game's over. Done. Like, so they're playing really well. I'm not discounting that at all. And you're right. They're not – the guys that we're seeing thrive right now don't have the same opportunities if Pop Isaacs is healthy. I don't know if that's better or worse. It just is, right?
Like Ashworth clearly has no conscience. He's
hitting that night celly on people.
Yeah. Doing a little too much, but I'm like, come on, DB, lighten up.
He's feeling himself. I'm okay with it.
Let that dude walk across your grass.
Yeah.
You know.
You don't need to go all Gran Torino on him. Get off my lawn.
Leave tracks. But he quietly runs it.
He does.
He's one of those dudes that will run by, whisper in your ear.
And Creighton,
boom to tap you and be like something.
Creighton needed a guy like that after Baylor left. They needed somebody with a little attitude. I would not have bet on Ashworth last year.
Dude, they're playing.
Maybe it's the sleep deprivation from being a dad that's made him a little edgy.
Yeah, I mean, my man is parenting. And shout out his wife and family, extended family, for shouldering the load.
Yeah, for hanging in there.
Man.
That's I appreciate the
You know how hard that is?
No, I don't.
Oh, that's right. Touche.
Intentionally, I do not.
No. The frick you talking to, DB? Do I look like I know? No, I get it.
Thank God. I did just want to circle back. I know you got some picks today.
I got a couple.
Okay, what do we got?
I like Michigan today.
Like Michigan today?
I like laying 1.5. 1 in the hook. I think it'll be. You like that?
I don't know what that was supposed to be. I was not a fan.
It was 1.5. Hey man, you know what?
You like Michigan minus 1.5 against Purdue?
Yep, hosting your Boilermakers.
Boilermakers.
And you know what? I'll be curious to see what happens with this line because it's pretty saucy. But I like Auburn laying the 8.5.
You like Auburn laying the 8.5?
Yep.
Against Vandy?
Yeah. And that's my
You
Again,
do
two
like
teams
Vandy. You like Vandy.
Two teams
You're pretty spicy on Vandy.
Two teams I'm very, very familiar with.
All right, so then you got Auburn -8.5, and you've got Michigan -1.5. Just real quick here, since we don't have any time for people to argue with me about it, I just want to say John Elway doesn't even hold up in his era. You want to know some guys that have better completion percentages and yards per game than Elway?
I should get my man
in the
money.
80s. Boomer Esiason, Warren Moon, Lynn Dickey, Ken O'Brien. Lynn Dickey, is he on the We're Making Hall of Fame with Lynn Dickey? We cool? No?
He,
All right.
he had Lofton to throw too. Why not?
I'll do the 90s later.
Ed Sharp too for a second.
Coming up next, though, we're going to talk to Will Bolt, the head coach for Nebraska baseball, here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Wrapping up the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here from Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by your head coach of Nebraska baseball, Will Bolt. Coach, how are you this morning?
Oh, good morning, fellas. Doing great. Get to talk a little baseball. Almost time.
Absolutely. I feel like there's no pressure, Coach, but I feel like this is the furthest out, because this has been going on for almost a month and a half, that we've been talking about Nebraska baseball. Do you internally kind of feel the buzz kind of for this year's team?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's probably a big part of that is just, a lot of the names, right? Like there's less unknown. There's a lot more names that people are familiar with. It's easier to talk about those names because you saw them play last year, and knowing that obviously, the lineup could look a little different. The pitching rotation and staff could look a little different, but by and large, you're pretty familiar with the vast majority of guys. And that's a good feeling. It's a good feeling in any sports organization, knowing that you've got some comfort there with veteran presence and leadership and guys that have been there. And I also just understanding and impressing upon them that what they did last year has no bearing on a new season that's about to unfold.
Beautiful. Even I can still hit this one. That answer's like a slider that didn't slide, Coach. So you talk about familiarity, and this is probably, I don't know, a handful of weeks ago we were talking about, okay, if you're Coach Bolt, are you more comfortable having options, or would you rather have a few knowns? Because you got a couple of key spots where you're going to have some options. You can do situational, you can do offense, defense. Is that kind of a headache, or would you like it a little more defined as you head into the opener?
Well, there's always good problems to have, right? When you're the head coach and you've got to put pen to paper to write that lineup, you want to feel like you've got to make some tough decisions at times, but at the same time, you also like to say, okay, I'm just going to ride or die with this guy. This guy's a dude, and we're gonna ride with him. And this guy's seen the ups and downs of baseball at this point and kind of knows how to navigate those things. So I do feel like we do have plenty of options. I do want to continue to improve. I mean, I think we certainly have room to improve offensively. What we look like at the end of the year last year is what I would hope and anticipate that this continues for this group. Just where you've got the ability to bop a little bit. You've got some team speed. You've got the ability for guys to play selfless baseball too, if called upon. So I just think there's some ebbs and flows that go along with it. I really, just we have some of these veterans that, like Gabe, he's now seen the ups and downs of college baseball, and he's kind of figured out how to navigate those. And so you feel really good about his ability to, navigate a tough game or a tough couple of games at this point. And, you've got just a veteran presence in the infield, and, you've got some guys in the outfield that have played a lot, and a guy like Frost who has done it at another level. So there's a lot of options there. There's the guys that you want to see take the next step, and it's important for our program that we didn't go out and just say, hey, we're going to go get a bunch of new guys in the portal. We plugged some guys in, but we're really banking on some of these guys that we've had in our program to just continue to get better. And that's a big part of having a program in the Midwest. I feel like you just got to be able to do that. You got to be able to use the portal to your advantage to a certain degree. But we're going to be able to have some options. We play a bunch of different guys, especially early. But then we have some guys you can feel that you can lean on, and you kind of their track record says you know what you're going to get from them.
Coach, that's really interesting because, obviously baseball is such a confidence-based sport, right? And how do you walk that sort of balance between having guys that you do kind of want to ride with and let them ride out some of the struggles versus having some options that you go, hey, maybe this guy deserves a shot? That's got to be kind of tricky.
It is. It's tricky. And here's the thing. Once we identify the guys that we feel like are everyday players, then the question becomes, are they doing what helps the team win? Because I'm not interested in just having guys play out a season and fill up their stat line. Because we we have a limited number of games, and we're trying to win all of them. So when they're in a funk, are they having team at bats? Are they hitting the ball on the barrel with nothing to show for it? Are they competitive in the box? Are they playing with that confidence? Those are really things that we look at, and knowing that we do have a good group of guys that are there, and I think you'll see those guys get their opportunities maybe as late inning defensive replacements. Well, they'll get some at bats. Maybe they'll get a pinch hit appearance here and there, and take the most advantage of it and run with it. So there's just the big thing is with the starters, are they playing team baseball? Or are they chasing stats and worried about themselves? I mean, I'd like to think we have 9 guys that are going to start that are all going to be on the same page. But there's going to be ups and downs throughout the year, and there'll be guys ready to push. That's for sure.
Coach, I'm going to get to your staff here in a second, but I want to talk about like kind of that versatility, whether you're talking about options at right field or outfield or wherever it is that you feel like, okay, I got some choices here. How important is it that this staff is communicating ahead of time about the expectation level so guys can kind of settle into what's expected, whether they meet it or not? At least they know what they're dealing with.
Yeah, well, that's a big part of it, is to have those honest, sometimes uncomfortable conversations ahead of time. We've had them all with the pitchers already. They kind of know where they're at. And as a matter of fact, kind of as we speak, guys are rolling in to my office with the offensive staff the next couple of days to have those conversations. So again, the opening day is not a finish line. It's just kind of obviously a starting point of a snapshot in time of where we're at. And, again, there are some difficult decisions because, you've got several options in the outfield. You've got the Overbeek, Stokes, Rumbaugh, Dylan Carey. They're all very, very veteran guys.
Yeah.
And Red Stokes is kind of a guy that, nobody really appreciates as much as they should. We won 72% of the games that Red Stokes started for us last year.
I know people think Roswell is like the UFO place, right? It's like no, they got a military academy there, guys.
That's right. And I mean, the kid hit 360 and, he's done nothing but be a great baseball player for us. So we've got to find opportunities, and chances for him, for Overbeek, for Brumbaugh. Again, good problems to have. And again, it's our job as coaches to make sure that everybody's on the same page with what's the main thing. Make it the main thing, winning in the team.
Coach, you mentioned a couple things earlier that have stuck in my head a little bit here. Obviously, a lot of familiar names, a lot of returning guys from last year, but also last year doesn't earn you anything. How do you get guys to sort of mentally press the reset button when you did have 40 wins, regional appearance, had a fairly successful year last year, and it's a lot of the same faces? How do you get guys to turn that page over?
Well, I think what you have is you have some street cred now, with your process, and to say, look, fellas, this is what we preached a calendar year ago, a year and a half ago, when some of you guys first got on the campus. Joy and intent, practice with joy and intent, play with fire and intensity, and be hard, fast, and loose on the field on game day, and just do it every day. And I know it sounds simple and cliche, but really you just kind of try to block out the big picture. Certainly we have our goals and we talk about them. We don't shy away from them, but they're also reminded of what our process is to show up with a job to do each day, practice with joy and intent. Obviously for us, that means, hey, let's have a smile on our face, but when it's time to lock in, we're going to do it with game-like intensity, and then just do it the next day and the next day and the next day. And we try to really be a team that is not emotionally driven, because that really allows yourself to think, okay, we're hot right now, or, oh, we're down in the dumps right now, versus just, hey, we just show up and play. So I just, that's really what we impress upon the group is just, hey, you've got a job to do today. And it's to be process oriented and go play with emotion, but just don't make it an emotional game. And we've got a chance to operate at a high level.
Coach, I won't ask you to rank them and their battery mates, but the importance of Haligso and his experience. I know you've seen him do it on Tuesday and Wednesday nights, but now he's yours, and the development of Mason to kind of step into that front line role? Kind of walk us through that combo.
Yeah, Hogan is he's a consummate professional. He's a quiet kid, but he's got a presence back there. We've really impressed upon him the importance that we find and having a guy back there that will use his voice. So we're going to continue to work through that with him as he's getting more comfortable with our staff. But man, he's just you know what you're going to get. I mean, he can really, really catch and throw. He's an excellent receiver of the baseball. I really feel like he's improved his blocking immensely since he's been here. And he's a guy with, a 285 career batting average that I think there's more in the tank for him. And I just think that he's stronger, more physical now, with the training table that we have here, with the weight program that we have here. He's just, he's a grown man now too. He's a senior. So big addition for our team, just to have a professional at bat, to be a professional behind the plate, and to just bring that steady presence back there. And with McConaughey, just the things that you admire about the kid, the reason that he found himself in the starting rotation last year is because he knew he needed a mindset flip. He chose to do that on his own heading into last season, accepted his bullpen role, mastered that, and then got more. And he's just been the same guy, not rested on what he did last year. He stayed here, worked on his body, continues to work on his mental training. His flexibility is something that he really wanted to continue to work on so he could just be more repeatable with his delivery. He's fully bought in with what Coach Childress is teaching him, both mentally and physically. And he's just ready. I mean, he's a horse. He's ready to take that next step. And again, just like everybody else, he understands he's got a job to do each Friday. And what he does in those days in between is going to be the difference between him, being good and being great. And, he had a wonderful, wonderful mentor in Brett Sears last year, of a guy that just had an unbelievable process in between his starts that I know Mac has really, used to his advantage.
That's Will Bolt, the head coach of your Nebraska Cornhusker baseball team. Coach, we appreciate the time. Good luck just a few days from first pitch. We wish you the best.
Go get him, Coach.
All right. Appreciate it, fellas.
Thanks.
Go Big Red.
That's Will Bolt, Nebraska baseball coach. We will be back tomorrow. More Hurrdat Sports Radio.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.